On the blackest nights we sail through fog, two voices echo from the salty bog, with tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the wheel, listen to Jive, the Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams, in Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment. Now here's your hosts, Josh and Jillian. Yeah!
Oh my god, welcome back to The Plank, everyone.
Welcome back to The Plank, episode 11.
Oh my god, is
this season 2?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Did we?
Boom.
Yeah. So 10 episodes a season, pretty much.
Yeah, I love it.
That
That
makes
sounds
sense,
good.
right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
We film like what, once a month?
Sure.
All right.
Something
What you
like
been?
that.
What you been up to? I haven't seen you.
Oh my god.
People probably think we hang out all the time. But,
I
you
know.
we don't.
I feel like I see you all the time.
I do,
though.
but yeah, maybe that's the social media.
You're like, we could
aspect.
hang out more.
We could hang out more. I asked you to golf one time, but you were like going to India or something.
What?
Oh no, you were going to London. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
You were going to the magic thing.
Oh yeah, I went
But
to
we-
a magic convention,
Yeah,
but we talked about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, but I'm in a play.
Yeah, tell me about this play.
It's fun. I haven't been in a comedy in a long time, and it's my first play I've done outside of school, so it's interesting to have people playing my parents that aren't like 2 years older than me. And like,
Really?
yeah, like I'm like, oh yeah, these
Yeah.
people are real actors that have
They're-
been doing this for decades, and it's not just my friend Jackson Verlini playing my dad. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
they're like really.
it's
your
like a
parents.
68-year-old person playing my dad. And they're all super talented. The director and the woman playing my mom are married, and they did soap operas together. And so he's a comedic director, and she's just been an actor forever. So
Okay, so they have good chemistry.
great chemistry. The whole cast is amazing. I'm really, really lucky because sometimes you get in a show and there's like one or two people where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to
Sure.
spend so much time with you.
You sure there's not that person? You're just
No,
just
there's
being nice?
really not. There's really not. I would love to talk shit on one person, but I can't because they're all lovely.
Maybe they're all talking shit about you.
Oh, I hope so. Tell me.
On
Tell
their-
me what I'm
on
doing.
their podcast.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. I
So
feel like
how,
we hate Jill. And I'll be like, oh my god, I'm having the time of my life. Like,
so who cares?
so who cares?
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about what's the process? Like how many hours a day or how many days a week you got to? Because
3
you have a 9 to
hours
5.
a day. I have a 9 to 5. So I finish my 9 to 5 at like 5 or 6, usually like 6 or 6:30. And then I walk my dog. I try to walk her for like an hour. And then I have to be at the theater at 7:30. And then I finish at like 10:30, 10:45. And then I usually have to go back home and finish more work. So I'm sleepy. I'm a sleepy girl. I've been going to bed at like 2 a.m. every day.
a busy girl
I need
right here.
Adderall. I need an Adderall prescription yesterday.
Oh my god!
You have.
Well, a friend gave me one yesterday, but I don't.
Do you know? How
It's only
cool.
5 milligrams.
That
though,
would be
but I
okay.
don't know. I don't know if that's enough.
Do you have a prescription? You have ADHD.
I don't have a prescription. I've never done it.
We should film a podcast episode
should.
where we go and
It'd probably
finally
be
get diagnosed.
so fucking boring. Oh, I thought you meant where we both take some.
Oh my god, no!
And
What
then
if
the
we,
show would
both
be
get a
like-
prescription. No, if we both take it, we'd be like, yeah.
Yes.
So
Here's our guest.
yeah,
It would be boring.
yeah. We need the
Let's-
ADHD
We should.
ness.
Do you think they'd let us film that if we went to the doctor? Do we have to go to a therapist for that shit?
Yeah, we have to go to like a psychiatrist.
Jesus.
I know.
That's like a movie.
What have you been up to?
I seeing a lot of concerts. I've been seeing concerts lately.
Who?
I saw Danzig a couple weeks ago, and then I saw Melvins and what? You don't know Danzig?
I don't know either of these.
Melvins. Well, nobody knows Melvins, but and then I was telling these surprise guests over here
Ooh.
before the show that I got in the mosh pit because I'm hardcore, and I was filming it, and I forgot I had like like shoes like that, like they just didn't tie. Both my shoes came off. Fucking phone went flying,
Josh.
and I was like trying to get my phone and my shoes, and it was just I grabbed one. I saw my phone because it was lit. And then I grabbed my I found one shoe, and then I saw the other shoe get kicked, and then someone grabbed it and threw it on stage.
Josh, I mean this with no disrespect at all, but you're not a large man.
I've never
I
been a
would
large
be
man. I've never.
terrified seeing you in a mosh pit. I'd be like, no, no.
No. People were
He's gonna
terrified
get
of me in the mosh
crushed.
pit. No, really. They're like, they don't fuck with me. I swear, this is always
You
how
just
it's
get
been.
feral.
This
You
is
just get in the
always
middle
how
and
it's
you're
been.
like,
Well, I'm short, so I have a low center of gravity, so I don't really get knocked down. It's the big dudes that get fucked up. Those guys go flying.
okay.
And there was one guy that
It's
kept.
like your shoe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't see the person that threw it, but so I went upstairs. My friends were upstairs. They're like, I lost my shoe. They go, that was your shoe? Because they saw it.
Yeah.
And it hit one of the drummers, and
Oh, that drummer's probably pissed.
I know. He's probably looking for the person. It's like it'll be like Cinderella. Like he's looking for the shoe that hit him, and he's gonna think it was me that threw it.
Yeah, but instead of finding you and you being the love of his life and marrying you, he'll just beat you up.
Yeah, but I doubt he'll beat me up because he's like, they're older.
No.
They've been around since the 80s, 83. It's their first album.
That's cool.
And so you know what else I've been up to is the whole fucking Turning Point thing.
Oh, right. You've been on your Turning Point crusade.
Yep. What do you think about that?
I think it's cool. I like the energy.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like it. So basically, tell the audience is I've been posting that. So Turning Point, we talk about it almost every episode. And it's our movie that Lionsgate has owned for 4 years. Grindstone, they're like sister company, they're indie branch, but they have owned our movie for 4 years. So finally, Tom and I decided we should do a QR code. He wrote this email that goes, it's just basically simple. It's one sentence. It says, we're fans of these filmmakers. We want to see this movie come out. Please release it. Blah, blah. That's it. And so the QR code takes whoever scans it takes it right there, and all they gotta do is hit compose email and send, and then it sends. And a lot of people have been asking me about it. A lot of people like what's happening. I thought Brian would be pissed off, Brian Katz, but he's like, no, this is cool. I did get an email from one of them like, can these emails please stop?
Like a cease and desist.
That's good. So I'm like, the whole thing is we offered to buy it back 2 years ago when XYZ wanted to release it. And they were like, no, we're putting it out. And they didn't put it out. And then Anchor Bay, we could release it. No, they won't let us buy it back. So it's kind of like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. And I'm not, and this is just like phase one. I'm being kind of nice in this phase, but like, if they start to, fight back, then I'm gonna fight back. Like, just release the movie.
I'm down to fight too if you want to loop me in.
Yeah, sure.
I love a fight.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you kidding? My 9-to-5 job. That's like half of my favorite thing. Is just like sending emails to networks being like, that's actually not going to work for us, and you have to do a make good, and you have to redo this ad.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe like the only person I've talked to is Dan, who coincidentally is the email that bounces back because it's the wrong email, which is fine because Dan's cool. Dan just can't. He's they send him. He's like good cop. They send him to talk to me.
Cool.
But he can't do anything about it. So he gets to hear me get pissed off, and I feel
gives
bad.
You the run around.
Yeah, he's like they're like, Dan, just keep Josh, at bay, and Dan you could tell he's frustrated. I actually think he's probably cool with all this. Like, I think he's secretly like,
well, let's keep going. Let's keep doing it.
And Lydia Hirsch shared it. She's got 200,000 followers.
Yeah,
so she shared it.
We just have to figure out how to share the link and not the QR, because no one can scan a QR code from their phone.
Yeah, they can. You just hit double click it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I also do have a link that I've been sharing.
Okay, that's cool.
Cool.
I love that.
So
it's weird watching clips from Turning Point now because I'm like, oh my God, I was like 22, 23. It's so weird.
Well, that's, the point is it's not like Gravitas or some like smaller company. It's kind of a big company and kind of a big deal for you guys, for you as an actress.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love
for it to come out.
Yeah, I'd love for it to come out.
So it's like, hey guys, we'll release your movie.
I'm just like, oh my God, little baby Jill.
Yeah.
Little fresh out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh out of college, all excited, and the movie's just sitting there.
Hey.
What the hell's that?
He's got a safe, but it's bolted into the wall, so we just gotta...
Are you gonna take it?
Do you know how to crack safes?
We can't just walk out of here with his safe.
We can do whatever we want.
You just said...
Wait, duck. Come here. No.
We gotta fight. We gotta fight the power.
It's okay.
I'll put the fucking Public Enemy song on the next one. Fight the power.
That's fun. Let's
wanna-
introduce our guest.
Yeah. Was that long enough? Was that a long enough intro for season 2?
I think it's long
premiere?
enough. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool.
Let's do it. Are you
Well,
guys
today
ready?
we have
Yeah,
Neil
we'll fight.
Kelly.
We'll fight with you guys.
Yeah,
Good
congrats
fight.
on season 2. That's huge.
Thanks.
Hell yeah.
10 episodes per season. That's pretty good.
we just
It's like
decided
a
that.
prestige
in-
TV
Yeah,
series or
it's
something.
like
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We
Yeah,
can do, we don't have to do 20
exactly.
episodes. Do we have a sponsor yet?
No.
It's right here. Sponsored by Jimmy John's.
I'll get us a sponsor when we can.
Yeah,
Um,
well, we're growing.
Well, today we have Neil Kelly and JONO Sherman in the studio with us today. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Hello, hello.
Thank you.
John or Jono?
Let's go with Jono.
Or Yano?
Yeah, let's go with Yuno.
You know.
Yeah, Jono. Yeah.
Okay.
You on the
Yeah.
pond.
Where
Well,
does
no
that
time.
come from?
What, the nickname?
The name.
So my full name is Jonathan, and before I was born, my parents and older sister were living in the UK.
Okay.
And in the UK, Jono is a very common nickname for people who are named Jonathan. And
Okay.
then when we moved back to the States, I think it kind of just stuck when I
Okay.
was like literally an infant. And then it's really been my name for my whole life. But as we were discussing,
yeah.
sometimes when I'm meeting new people, I just go with John because then I don't have to go through this whole process
Yeah.
that we're going through right now.
Well, I'm
is
happy to bring you
explanation
through
for
the
it.
him.
excruciating and painful process of
I didn't know they
explaining.
had nicknames in the UK. It does not seem
Oh
like the
no,
kind
they've
of
got a lot of nicknames.
society where you would give someone a nickname.
They've got a lot of nicknames.
Interesting.
You
It
know?
seemed like Jono was your name and your nickname might have been John in the UK. If it was established before you were even born.
Yeah, no, I think spiritually it is my name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jonathan is my nickname, even though
That's
it's
what I'm saying.
longer.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, does anyone call you Jonathan?
Yeah, some people do. Some people.
Usually, like ironically, or
Either ironically or affectionately, or if I'm in trouble.
Trouble.
oh,
If I'm being bad.
Yeah.
My
Oh.
grandmother calls me Jonathan.
Mm.
Yeah.
If I'm being bad, I get a first and middle name, but I don't get the last.
Which is
name.
what? What's the middle name?
Lee, Jillian
That's,
Lee.
that's what
Jillian
I would
Lee.
get. Neil Gregory.
yeah. Ooh, that hit.
You hear the middle name and you know it's going down.
Yeah.
Especially when your middle name is 3 syllables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And your
yeah.
first
You can
name's
you can really let it.
The
fly.
4-syllable is.
Yeah.
I get that.
I feel
Jillian Lee.
Jillian
Neil
Lee.
Gregory.
Jillian
is
Lee
3.
sounds like it should be said with like a southern accent.
Jillian Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Jillian Lee.
Mhm.
I feel insecure that I'm the only name that doesn't start with J here because this is really
What?
great.
Oh, that's true.
I'm not, that's honestly how I go. Most of my life is in groups of J's.
Groups
'cause
of J's.
My dad and my brother are both J names, and then my best friends from high school, it's Jillian, Jessica, Jasmine, Julie.
Whoa.
And
That's
then
too
they're
many.
married to a Jack, and then one I was also dating a Jack. It's a lot of
That
J's.
is a lot.
It's
That's like-
too many.
It's
There's
like Heather's.
like it is
Yeah.
like Heather's.
Yeah.
There are some people who feel that like J names are like you're bad if you have a J name.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I
Like you're
know.
a
We are
bad
bad.
person.
And
We're
people-
bad.
What?
Yeah.
And sometimes
No,
I-
there's like an internet thing. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know what you're
yeah.
talking about. And sometimes I get that question, but buried under the, oh, so do you spell it with a J or a G? And I'm
Mm.
like, you're hoping I say G, aren't
yeah.
you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna
You're
say
a
G,
J.
though. Yeah.
You're a J.
Yeah.
Jillian.
I never heard. I'm with you. I didn't hear that. I've never heard of this.
Because you guys are out of the loop. You guys
Right.
don't know what's going
Yeah.
on.
I feel like I'm in.
I haven't
the-
had a computer.
Josh is like,
Years,
I am
yeah.
a J name.
I'm a J name.
Well, you guys
There
are
are
our
people.
first duo we've ever had on the podcast.
Sweet.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Honored.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So we're here to talk about Daddy, the new movie that Anchor Bay is distributing. But you guys,
Yeah.
not but, and you guys wrote and directed that as a team,
Mhm.
also acted in it.
Mhm.
Let's go back a bit. How did you guys meet?
We met in middle school.
Wow.
In Ann Arbor, where Neil, you were born in Ann Arbor, yeah,
Mm.
where Neil was born, and I moved there in the 7th grade from Minnesota, and we met walking home from school one day. I was still very friendless, so he
Hell
and
yeah.
another gent named Tim Gutman were kind enough to bring me in, and then yeah, I mean we kind of from there became very close quite quickly.
Yeah.
And in high school, we made short films together and we were in a band together and, we were always being creative together. And we both went to the University of Michigan. Neil was in the theater program. I was in the film program. After graduating, he moved to New York. I moved straight here. But then like 4 years later, Neil moved here and we started writing together, started screenwriting together and trying to make movies together. And it's been this really nice, multi-decade process of being friends and being creative collaborators and helping each other out when we're down and, boosting each other up when we need it. And it's been very gratifying and fun.
Wow.
Why did you leave? So you went to New York, and what did you?
I did.
What did you do? Why did you go to New York?
I had
theater.
for the theater.
Okay.
No, I studied acting at Michigan, and I always had some notion that I wanted to be like a theater actor from
Okay.
a very young age. And then it occurred to me, and I'm curious if you have this experience. I played a lot of older characters when I was in college. Like I'd play 60-year-olds, or I'd play the sort of older character roles. And it did occur to me, like my last play I was in college, I played like a 65-year-old. I was like, I feel like it's going to be really weird going into the real world
Yeah.
and trying to be like 23 for the first time on stage. And
Yeah.
it was, but I also,
funny.
yeah, I had always directed as well and directed theater, and I did some directing in New York. And I think, kind of I didn't realize at the time how burnt out I was doing theater because I'd just been doing it since I was 7 years old. And I think I had started to feel a little more, I wanted to write. I was interested in film, but I don't know. I also grew up in Ann Arbor and went to college there. So living in New York for 4 years felt more like college to me than college actually did in a way, because I had that fish out of water feeling. I felt like I was finally on my own, wasn't running into my parents on campus
Right.
or anything.
Why are they teachers?
Oh.
My mom works at the university. I had one day where I ran into my mom in the diag, and then
That's like the square of.
It's like the center.
the
Yeah.
center of campus.
Mhm.
And then like 2 minutes later, I'm walking across the street and someone beeps their horn, and it's my dad in his car. And I'm like, I have to get
I
out.
gotta get the hell
Yeah.
out of here.
I've lost my mind.
So yeah, I kind of was set on doing theater, and then once I got there, I realized, I don't know if this is for me right now. I mean, I love it, but
That reminds me. Well, I was a bad kid in high school, and one day my mom had to come to school and observe me. In all
Whoa.
my classes, she'd just sit in the back of the classroom and observe me.
really,
And she would try to like hang out like from class to class, and I'd be like, I'd be like, get away from me. Get away from me.
was this her idea or
No, it
your
was
teacher's
the teacher's
idea?
idea. That's how
That's
bad I
crazy.
was.
Oh my
That's
god,
how
the teacher hated you.
Oh, my teachers hated
it
me.
was like
Wait.
it was like the school's idea.
But what is the
my
point
God.
here? What's the point of that? Because
Yeah, my mom's not like a therapist, like a psychiatrist.
but also you must have known.
Just to debase him, to make him feel like
powerless.
an outsider. Yeah.
But you didn't. I'm sure you were on your best behavior because you're like, I'm just going to be good
Yeah.
today because my mom's here, and then my mom's going to be like, he was good today.
yeah,
Why did
as
I come?
if he would act
It's like
normally.
a scared straight program, though. It's a punishment, is what it is. It's a
it was
punishment.
a punishment. It was
Yeah.
and I can't remember if like how it was. It was just like I can't remember how I acted in class or what. Yeah, it's like of course I'm gonna focus right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, my
I-
mom's here.
But that's not I
Yeah.
did get made fun of. for
One
it,
time
so-
in middle school, and this kind of goes back to our origins as filmmakers. I in 8th grade, so in 7th grade I was a really good student because I had no friends,
right.
and then in 8th grade I made a bunch of friends and was
Bad
a
student.
horrible
Yeah, you were a
student.
That's
bad
what
kid.
happened.
I was a troublemaker, and there was a filmmaking class, acting filmmaking class in our middle school, and one day the entire like group of teachers that I was in classes with sat down and brought my parents in to school, and we spoke in a classroom, and they were like, Jono's a bad kid, like he's causing trouble, and they like went through examples why. And one of the examples that they used was this teacher of this film class showing like bloopers of me fucking around in between takes while I was making this movie.
yeah, what?
And I'd like
Oh.
come up with this whole idea. It was like there was this Russian mobster and like this guy trying to, save a girl. And I was kind of the one, pulling all the strings. And this guy like put footage of me messing around in between takes, and like, this is an example
Wait
of
a
Jono being
minute.
yeah,
Acting like that was just you in class.
Yes,
on a normal,
yeah.
on a normal
That's so
day.
it was
fucked up.
crazy.
That's fake news.
It was fake
That
And
news.
your parents weren't like, that's nothing.
So this is an interesting question, and this was a real like full circle moment for me, because in the time when I was 13 or whatever,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, my parents are on the teacher's side.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being punished, and my and my parents agree with the teachers. And then like literally 3 or 4 years ago, I brought this up with my mom and dad. We were together somewhere, and they were like, yeah, that was like the craziest, most absurd thing that ever happened. We were so pissed off that happened to you. And I was like, I had no idea.
Wait, they never. You guys
couldn't-
didn't talk about it after
No,
school.
I know.
What
They-
happened after school? Did you get punished?
Blacked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened before or after.
I do feel like you got maybe it's because you came in 7th grade, where by the time we were in 8th grade, we were all
Oh, I was
hooligans, but
smoking
he
singled
kind of
out.
got singled
So
out. I think
singled
because he
out.
was the new kid
new
in
kid,
some way.
Because I'm so
Yeah.
cute,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just hate me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They did hate how
They
cute
love
you
to
were.
hate you.
They love to hate how cute
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And you're from Minnesota, but you don't have that like Minnesota
I don't.
accent.
No, only when if I drink a couple beers.
Yeah.
it'll
Sometimes
sneak
it'll
in
come
and
out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'll get it every now and then. You'll be like, oh,
You'll get it
Yeah.
every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So did you grow up wanting to go to Michigan? Wanting to go to
no,
the
not at
university?
all. No, I was like, not at all
Because
interested.
Ann Arbor, for people that don't know, to me, I grew up
Yeah.
in the Valley. Like, it's a small
Yeah.
city.
Weird little
I got in
city.
trouble calling it a town one
It's a
time.
college
so
town. It's a
s-
college town.
It used to be more of a town. It's now, and the interesting thing growing up there is it used to be that the town was separate from the university, and now the university is kind of
absorb the
Yeah,
town.
absorbed the
the
town,
town
which for
revolves
people,
around the
my dad grew up
university.
there in the
It always
60s,
did,
and it,
really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
but my dad grew up there in the 60s, and so he's seen like the evolution of it. But no, I didn't really want to go there because I think like many people, you just want to go.
It's like going to a community college.
You want to
Yeah,
spread your wings.
right?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was. I do remember, and I was an angsty teenager in my own way, and I very much wanted to get out of the house. But the recession happened our senior year of high school,
Mm.
and I do remember my parents sitting me down at one point and saying, "Look, if you go to Michigan, your student loans are not going to be that much. If you
Mhm.
go to all these other schools you want to go to, they're going to be much larger. The choice is yours, but we just want you to be aware
Yeah.
of the sort of reality." And I do remember thinking, okay, my parents are not trying to give me a hard time. They're actually treating me like an adult right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was made easier by the fact that a lot of our friends,
bunch of friends
from
went.
high school went, and it felt like
school.
that's the other thing.
No, it's hard to pass
it's
up
hard
when
to
you
pass
get the
up.
in-state
Yeah.
tuition.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that did the same thing with UCLA. Like, they
Yeah.
literally went to school
Right.
20 minutes down the street from their parents'
Mhm.
house, and like still haven't really left LA or moved.
But that's a
out
lot of
it.
LA people. Like, people who are
We
still here, who
stay.
are from
Right.
here, stay for.
We
No,
do.
and it
We
did-
go
I-
somewhere else, and we're like,
I didn't know
"It's
you
so
were
cold."
from. Where
Yeah.
in the valley did you grow up?
Encino.
Oh, nice, cool.
fun.
Yeah, but I'm classic Valley kid. Parents divorced, so like I just kind of grew up like all down Ventura, and then like.
So she likes sushi.
Yeah,
You don't?
No, I actually.
Or you're
that's
sick
like
of it?
No,
she likes
Josh,
Ralph's.
No, this is actually insane that he just said that. Like
Ventura is fucking
there-
sushi row.
If there's one thing that every person in my life knows about me, it's I don't eat seafood and I hate bananas. And the fact that you were like,
Hate
she
bananas?
loves
Excuse me,
sushi.
you hate bananas?
hate them.
What do you hate? The consistency?
The consistency, the smell, the taste,
The
and
potassium?
flavor.
I'll say so, about a
I don't
banana.
hate that.
It's
I
like
could use
when it's
more.
done, when it's gone, like when a banana goes bad, it's
You're gonna make me throw up.
disgusting.
What about banana
gonna
flavored?
throw up
What
right
about banana
now.
flavored stuff like Runts?
No, like a
Those are
Laffy
the
Taffy.
worst.
Get me,
Oh,
get the
yeah.
fuck
No,
out of here.
the banana Laffy
banana
Taffy is for
flavored shit
psychos. I agree with
So
that.
do
Banana
bananas.
flavored
Artificial,
shit
artificial banana. It's like
No,
you're a weirdo.
Just give me nothing.
Yeah, give.
I don't
I mean
want it.
honestly, get rid of the fruit. I
Give me
hate
a bag
it.
of
I
Get
think
sugar.
it's
rid of the
gross.
fruit. We
I-
need the fruit.
I don't think so.
Smoothies.
No.
See, I
Bananas
make
are
a
a good
smoothie every
base. They're a
morning
good
with
thick
banana
base.
I
in
hate
it.
it.
Banana
and it doesn't.
bread.
Oh.
See, and everyone's
Banana
like, you
pudding?
can't even taste the banana. You can't even taste the banana in this way. It's
But you can
all
taste
like
the
What about
taste.
banana bread?
Hate it.
What the hell?
Hate it.
It's so good.
Maybe
Banana,
pumpkin
have you ever
bread.
had bananas Foster as a dessert?
What? No.
Have you ever
I
had
hate bananas,
banana
you guys.
cream pie?
It's so
Ooh,
gross.
banana cream pie with Nilla wafers.
Yeah.
Why would I eat that?
Yes.
I hate
Mhm.
bananas.
All right.
I know. I love bananas, but I hate banana flavored shit.
I don't know, but
So
this
like
was
I know someone who's like, oh, I hate I hate tomatoes, but I love marinara. So you know, you
Oh
could,
my
you
God,
could-
you
I
know what I
honestly,
hate?
you know what? I'm more
He is
that
that
guy.
one.
Where it's
Oh my
like I love
God.
everything that
gets
tomatoes
tomatoes
has, but if you
removed.
give me a tomato to eat, I'm like,
I'm the
I
same.
don't know what
Just
to do with
eat?
this.
I'm honestly the same.
salt and pepper on it.
I like a
I'll-
cherry tomato.
Ooh.
See,
like,
I'll
I'll
raw
put
dog a
ketchup-
cucumber though, and
Oh, yeah.
people will be like, "What on earth are
Raw
you
dog
doing?"
Oh my God, I had such a
So
good
you eat a
cucumber
cucumber,
salad
like, with
yesterday
no
at
protection?
Kyukaku.
Yeah.
That shit was so good. Wait, we got on a huge tangent.
Yeah.
That's
because
okay.
You just like
There's
I
4
had
of
such a
us.
visceral reaction to you saying that I love sushi. I don't. But anyway,
Because just Ventura is like sushi.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sushi town.
I know, guys.
But I think the nice thing about going to college in your hometown is you don't have that adjustment period. So you can kind of, at least for me, I was able to dive into like doing plays right away.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm totally comfortable here.
The
I
culture
don't
shock
I know
doesn't happen.
I know everywhere to go. I know all the buildings.
Yeah, that's
Of
so
course
true.
I'm meeting people and everything, but I just felt like, cool, I don't need to like get my bearings. I can kind of just dive in and
Yeah.
start doing the stuff I want to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I think was a real benefit.
You ever do anything at Purple Rose? Do they
No.
have that? Like
No,
No, that's in Chelsea, but
yeah.
Yeah, I
I've
know.
seen
That-
seen some plays there. Yeah, it's
that's
great.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah,
play.
Jeff
Like,
Daniels
Yeah.
Playhouse.
So I don't know if like
Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
we
They're
had a
doing a call
professor,
for-
Vince Mountain, who was like one of the production professors, set design professor. He would design sets for those plays at Purple Rose a lot. So there was like kind of I think maybe some professors maybe even acted in some of those plays. but-
Purple Rose at Cairo. It's named after a movie. Woody
A
Allen
movie he
that
was in, yeah.
Oh.
But it's Jeff Daniels, and I think he still lives there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
still
He's
lives
a
in
Michigan
Chelsea,
guy.
Michigan, and then
cool.
he went to New York, and then
Yep.
whatever made his name for himself
You
on
know,
stage, and he came back.
Yeah.
I learned this recently. Michael Keaton was actually cast in his role in Purple Rose at Cairo.
Oh wow, that
and then
he
it
would've
wasn't
been
working
good in
out, and
that.
Woody Allen fired him, and then Jeff
Oh,
Daniels
so they shot
replaced
some
him.
stuff.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton would have been good in that movie.
he would have.
But
Yeah.
but he wasn't.
But he
Clearly,
wasn't.
They tried it out.
Well, but who knows what happened behind the scenes? You know, you never know.
Who
The
knows
drama?
if what's his name would have stayed in Back to the Future?
Oh, the not Michael J. Fox guy.
Eric Stoltz. I
Eric
was going to say Eric
Stoltz.
Roberts. Eric
Sliding
Stoltz.
doors.
And they shot. Like,
Didn't they shoot like most of the
quite
movie?
Quite a yeah, but
Yeah.
Eric Stoltz's whole thing was like he took the role. He was like it was like for him it was
Yeah.
existential. He's like, what do you mean? I go back in time and like if I don't save my parents, none of us exist. And he was like so serious about it. And
Yeah.
they're like,
We
no,
were
this
like,
is like
That's
not
kind of
that
funny.
serious.
I'd never heard that part of the
yeah,
story.
that's the way he played it was too intense.
He
or
played it
something.
as if it was really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Did you guys go to community or?
I went to community.
I
I took
How do
some
you know about
classes at
community?
Because I went to school in Ann Arbor.
Wow.
That,
Oh.
Yeah.
she
There's
went to
two
you.
My
high
mom taught
schools.
at community with Malcolm Tulip, who was then a
Oh, I
professor.
love
He became a
Malcolm
professor at
Tulip.
Michigan, who we have.
He's still one of my favorite
And
teachers
he
I've
came
ever
to
had in my
the
life.
screening in Michigan.
He did come
at
to our
Michigan,
daddy
right?
screening
Oh, he
at Michigan.
did?
Yeah, which was really
I
sweet.
love him.
Yeah.
He gave
That's
me my
awesome.
clown nose back.
No way. That's the best class I've ever taken.
It
What does that mean?
It means that he thinks that you're a good. Because a lot of people, you take the clown class, which is like your senior year fall semester class, and you do like a clown show and everything, and you spend the whole semester developing your clown and developing a skit with like your clown partner and stuff. And if at the end of the show he thinks that you did a good job, you have to give your clown noses back after every class and after every show, but he'll give it back to you if he thinks that you
Like in front of
you were
everyone,
a
like
good clown.
Julian
he
Garner,
doesn't
get
do it
up
in
here
front-
on stage.
No, he
Come on up
doesn't.
here, like your
He
diploma.
like kind of like pulls you to the side.
on the
And he's like,
side.
and
Hey. And
you
you're
fuck-
like,
and then you brag.
Can I just
Yeah,
say something
You're like,
about
did
this
you-
clown
you're like,
class?
hey,
did
did
you
you-
get your clown nose?
Did you get your clown nose?
Were
Excuse
you
me.
not allowed to take it?
No, I didn't want it. But here's the thing.
You
So
wanted to
because of
take
Neil
it.
and because of other people,
All of the other actors in the movie were in the theater.
We're in the
program at
theater
Michigan,
program.
too.
Yeah.
And by senior year, junior year, senior year, I knew a lot of the people in the theater program.
Mhm.
And I just remember I did a film and political science double major.
That's fun.
And I just remember like going over to one of their apartments and I had just gotten out of like a history of, you know, the Chinese Empire from this time to this time class.
It's a 400 level history.
Yeah,
class.
and they're like, or like history of the Vietnam War, like a really intense class. And I just remember like them talking about this clown class and being like, these are completely different universes.
Yeah.
Like, what is this education disparity
Yeah.
going on? It
Yeah.
was so funny.
It was always a big deal if you got like a class and you had to go to a lecture hall, and we were like, "Oh my god!"
Oh,
there's,
like a real
200
class.
people in this class, not like 15 of my friends that I live with.
You
like,
guys kind of did have like a little Hogwarts vibe going up
Yeah, we
there.
did,
At the-
Yeah.
and we
what is
all
it, the Walgreen?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
the
shuttled us off
Walgreen
to North
Trauma
Campus.
Center.
The Walgreen Trauma Center. I never
Yeah.
heard that.
That's
Wow,
funny.
That's funny.
Thanks.
Did you come up with that?
I
or-
brought it back from England because when I was at Lambda, they were talking about. I was like watching an Amelia Clark interview or something, and she was like, "Oh yeah, the London Trauma Center
Oh,
instead of
that's
like the
fine.
London Drama Center," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god, the
That's the name.
Walgreen Trauma Center."
You could do that with any drama center in the world if you
and
wanted to.
you should,
And it probably would
yeah,
work,
It
yeah,
works.
mhm.
Yeah, but I loved college. It was fun, but we all did live with each other, which was weird. We probably shouldn't have all done that.
Yeah, it was like you get to know people really, really, really
Too
well.
well.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, people in my BFA, they're like that's my cousin. Like I could not talk to them.
That
for
is how it
years,
feels.
But
Yeah.
if they called me up, if like Vincent called me up from Mississippi and was like, "I need you to be here next week," I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm there."
Wow.
Like that's my cousin. Like,
I have a lot of my class lives out here, which is really nice.
so what happened in the 4 years where you moved out here and you went to Nueva York?
We didn't speak. I
Yeah,
don't
we didn't
know.
speak.
Yeah, I was doing theater. I actually directed a play that two of the other actors in this, Palm and Yuri, were in. And, finding myself, figuring it all
Course,
out.
sure.
But I would come out to LA periodically. We'd
Yeah.
spend time together. And, I think I had started thinking I might move out to LA. And then a friend got married and asked if we could reunite our band for their wedding.
Aw.
So we performed a song at their wedding.
Oh,
And
you
that
guys
was
are-
really fun and felt like, oh yeah, this is still
The creative juice is still there.
yeah. And so I moved out to LA not too long after that, but yeah, you were doing some short films and a web series and stuff. We were
Yeah,
kind of
I was
we were keeping
writing and
tabs on each other.
auditioning and I was working
Auditioning,
in
so you wanted to be an actor.
yeah, and I was working at I worked at a post-production house for a while. So for the first few years living out here, I mean also just getting acquainted with the city and trying to find now I'm lucky enough that, not only Neil lives out here, but two of our other really close friends from home now live here too. And then obviously I've made friends through the years, but the first couple years was just trying to get my foothold anywhere.
Yeah.
Which was definitely a maturing process,
Well, you were the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to set the tone, and then now all your friends come and your established friends that you made here. You're like, all right, these are your friends now too.
I mean, of course, they've met a lot of my older friends, but a lot of those people have now since moved. So it's a kind of a different amalgamation, the group. But I mean, once that, Neil and the other two, they're so, they're so smart and just good at figuring out their own niches and things
Did
that
they also go to Michigan?
Oh, no, neither of them went to Michigan, but they're old friends.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Being a writing and directing team and also having to direct on the other side of the camera. I can't even imagine doing that with any of my friends. We'd probably kill each other. But there is an insane, or not insane, but intense level of trust that you guys have to have. What was the moment in your friendship where you were kind of like, oh, I trust this person. This person's got it. We have the same vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always had the same taste and interests in stories and in kind of what ideas we're interested in. I do think a moment that sticks out to me is, we had written several scripts before writing Daddy, and Daddy, because we were writing it during COVID and we were kind of part of each other's pod, it was the first time we really sat down from the beginning and wrote together. Typically, we would kind of outline together. I'd write a scene, he'd write a scene, vice versa. And we'd consistently get into this process of rewriting each other, or not even disagreeing, but just it would take a little longer. And I just remember us sitting down, and we didn't outline Daddy at all. We just kind of wrote it page by page. And it just kind of clicked for me. Yeah, this is the way we should do it.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing with one another and you're coming up with ideas, you feel like you're doing it together, and you get stuck. You're getting stuck together. When you have those breakthroughs, it's in tandem. And so what it built was a foundation where, we could completely be on the same page and understand what we were doing and what we were going for, so that by the time we started working with our actors and doing kind of readings before we got to set, and then especially getting to set, we shot it in about 2 weeks. So there's not a lot of time for discovery or debate or discussion. You kind of have to just go. And I think just that entire process of writing it together, I knew once we got to set, someone could ask John a question and I didn't have to be there. And I knew that he would,
That's nice.
answer it
Yeah.
in the way that I would.
Yeah.
That's
There's
nice.
just that foundational trust. And it's hard to, it's hard to imagine kind of going back to a more
Yeah, separate
isolated, separated kind
creation
of
process.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that, honestly, like just one thing because it happened at the same time during the COVID really lockdown. Neil and I kind of on a whim, just because we wanted to continue being creative as we were editing, the final sort of drafts of Daddy, we created a web series basically. Well, it started as we were just going to do a one-off, and then we posted it to Instagram, and 4 friends were like, "This is hilarious." And we're like, "All right, let's make 10 of these."
Yeah.
And it was called Cups, and it's Cups Universal People Service. There's actually 2 episodes on the DVD from
Daddy
Anchor Bay,
DVD.
Oh,
so
yeah.
buy that
Funny.
to see 2 episodes of Cups.
Yeah.
And I think it was really just like both of our phones rolling at the same time, just the 2 of us, primarily in his apartment. But I think that like lower than low stakes level of directing one another and collaborating on camera, or one of us is on camera and one of us is off, helped, build that just that like trust and
Yeah.
that comfort. We'd been on camera together before, and we had both directed each other before, but we hadn't done it for a long time. So that was another good little hors d'oeuvre.
With your background in theater and your background in the film school, do you find that you tend to direct more of the characters and the actors, and you direct more of like the lighting and all and like the more technical stuff, or do you find that you're both pretty involved in every aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's maybe leans a little bit more the way you're saying, maybe
Yeah.
like 55-45.
Yeah.
But I mean, John's a really intuitive and smart actor, and I think one thing that Pom and Yuri and I and Jacqueline, we all went to school together and acted together a lot, so we had kind of a shared language and experience. But because John's so good and so natural, it never felt like, oh, I've got to be the
Yeah.
communicator here necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe it leans a little more towards
For sure.
me directing the acting and you
And I think,
working on the camera,
especially
yeah.
because of that shared language, like there was just such an ingrained comfort that you had with Pom, Yuri, and Jacqueline that it made sense for you to be the one to convey those ideas. An interesting thing, though, and obviously acting and directing a movie at the same time is so tough.
Yeah.
But I wonder, we've never really talked about this, but I wonder if you feel the same way. Something that's fun about it is that sometimes you don't actually have to direct other actors in the sense of like in between takes or giving them notes. You can almost direct in real time by augmenting your performance to direct the energy of the scene in the way that you want it to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, honestly, just as often as talking to the other guys. It's like, oh, we want more of this. I'm just going to do that and trust that everyone else in the scene is going to pick up on that and follow.
Yeah.
Because there's a particular moment in this movie where it turns and it goes from being a little slow burning to these guys are a little more wired and a little more anxious. And so, yeah, I think there were moments where we're doing a take and you and I are telegraphing to the other actors.
Yeah.
This is a little more, they're a little hyped up here.
Right.
And it might take the other ones a
It
beat
takes
or
them a
two to
beat-
get into it.
exactly.
That's so
Is that
cool.
why? Because I noticed your characters in the movie are more like, oh no, you and the.
Well,
I'm
by
trying to
the
think of
end,
the
he's
dynamics.
pretty intense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's literally killing.
But you
Spoiler alert.
but you have the more of the relationship with Yuri,
Yes.
Yeah.
the competitiveness.
Yes.
Right.
You're kind of the loner.
I'm kind of the loner.
Yeah,
Well, you're
and-
very immature. Like your
Yeah, I'm kind of like
characters-
I'm the younger brother of the group.
Yeah.
It's in a lot of
Yeah,
ways, I think.
and like
You're
you
like 2
probably
weeks in.
shouldn't be a dad.
No,
yet.
no.
no.
No,
None
I
of
think
you
we-
should be. You can't even be friends
it's true.
in that.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, which
Well,
was
we
probably
We're
started-
friends for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. we started when we wrote it. We had early on Jono's character and the character of Mo, which is played by Palm Coach. We kind of had the idea Jono would play Jeremy and Palm would play Mo, and that made it really fun to write those characters because Jono and Palm are very specific kind of energies and actors. And with Yuri and I, it took a little while to figure out. We knew those two characters were kind of on a collision course with one another, but who might play who, or even if we would do it, it took a little while. So it's kind of interesting. We had two baked in and worked out pretty early, and the other two took more time.
I'm so curious because you are so close to so many Michigan actors, and we do have a similar language. And like, I always prefer to do self tapes with Michigan friends because it's so much. There's just that level of trust, and there is that shared language. Have you noticed a difference in working with like mainly Michigan actors and then others?
I mean, there is just kind of like that feeling that you are not intruding, but it's almost like when you go to a friend's house and their extended relatives are there. That's sort of what it feels like. I mean, you guys just have a language that you speak that others don't speak, and it's cool to see. I mean, it's cool to see that level of comfort. When it comes to working with other actors, I mean, then you're kind of all entering on a nobody knows.
Well, I mean, we are
level.
We are by far the most amateur, least experience of the other. And Yuri have both been on television shows for quite a long time.
Yuri's been
Palm is
Chicago
you know,
Fire.
160
episodes.
Right,
Chicago Fire.
And then Palm is an accomplished theater Broadway actor.
And Jacqueline was Grimm. She was in the show.
She was in the L Word.
L Word.
So we were, I mean, like that was what was funny is that, and you know, our camera team were all AFI and. Everybody was very pro except for us.
What was it? Yeah, but you guys put it together, so that's huge.
No,
they're there because you guys. So you can kind of, you know, you did a lot of your work before you guys even started shooting.
Yeah.
What did you guys shoot on?
We shot on the Lexa Mini.
It looked great. It looked great.
Yeah. Bryce Holden, our cinematographer.
It was really Bryce that did it.
A lot of light, like because a lot of it's exterior day. So I was just wondering, is it just natural lighting?
Most of it's all natural lighting.
The exterior stuff was natural lighting.
Well, you know, it's part of shooting in anamorphic was just, you know, we knew a lot of it would be outside. We knew that there would be kind of, especially once we landed on that house, you know, kind of the bokeh and the way the light would hit the lens just felt like, you know, sort of distorted, almost dreamy.
It was like
feeling.
very painterly in the background.
And using the trees, like the light between the trees.
How did you find that house?
So
through Bryce.
We originally wrote the movie to be set in the desert, and
you have that Joshua Tree line.
Because that was just always in our heads. But then we were getting ready to shoot in 2021, and COVID was still going on, and you know, to shoot outside of Los Angeles, it was a union SAG shoot, and we were figuring out how do we do this? How are we going to bunk people up? And it was like, people are going to have to share hotel rooms. That didn't feel quite right. And we just decided we've got to pivot to, you know, the Circle of Los Angeles area. And we were 6 weeks out and didn't have the house. I mean, and Bryce told us he had scouted a different project at the home we shot at. And we went up there in Topanga Canyon with our producer, Albie Zhang. And the great thing was she loved it. And she was like, the trucks can fit here. We'll be able to move everyone here. But then we just had this feeling of you're completely outside of...
Oh, man. Yeah.
It fit the vibe of just being in the middle of nowhere, in luxury in some sense, which is what we wanted, was for these guys to be completely comfortable in a very nice environment, very relaxed, and that all the anxiety and frustration and paranoia comes from them. It does not come from the environment.
Because it feels like an Ojai retreat.
That's literally what it basically is.
Oh, and you head up there, and it's just people were just, you know, walking in and out of the house, just very, you know.
We could drive there right now and go do a tour, and like nobody would care.
Know. Yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't like a you didn't. So because I was thinking maybe they found it on
like Gigster.
Gigster,
That is where we found it.
Oh.
I mean, it is a yoga retreat, but they also rent it out for like events, and then there's a yoga studio.
I think we were the first film to shoot
we
there,
were.
so,
We were.
Before we continue talking about Daddy, I just want to know, like, because our audience is like, what's this movie about? What's this movie about?
Oh,
yeah.
True.
So do you want... Yeah? Right? So do you guys want to?
Sure.
You might want to get into that because I have a question. Why
Yeah.
a couple young guys? Do you guys have kids?
No.
No.
Do you want kids?
Yeah, I think so. In a theoretical sense.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
want kids too, and I'm older than you guys. But like, so is it
Yeah.
interesting? So like, how'd you come up with the?
Yeah, so Daddy it's set in a dystopian society where parenthood is regulated by the government. So if you want to be a parent, you have to go through a state-sanctioned retreat program. And so these 4 men are sent to a program in the remote mountains in California, only to find that there's no guide or monitor or instructions, and they're sort of just left there to fend for themselves. And so
Which is set up nicely. You didn't have to do this whole like create this whole
Yeah.
world. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Purge, the first Purge, right?
Right.
Where you know what's going on in the universe, but you're not there.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind
Right.
of like the opening scene of Severance.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
she's
where,
like,
where you
"This
kind
is-
of are
this is
discovering
your
it.
Audi.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna do.
I
Yeah.
think there
And
was
you're like just with one person in this box.
Exactly.
This
And
voice.
And that was Britt Barron, right? That did
Yeah,
the
Britt
voice?
Britt was
yeah,
the
from
voice.
another
Glow.
Yeah,
Michigan.
from
I
Glow.
know.
Yeah.
Britt
An
and
old
Jacqueline,
friend
they're
from
so
Michigan.
good.
incredible.
And
yeah.
Britt and Yuri were also in Peter and Amy Getting Married.
Which I also saw.
Yeah, I
Amy-
mean,
Amy
there's a
and
whole
Peter.
I
Michigan.
think they're getting divorced, not married.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
getting
they got
divorced.
divorced?
They're
They
getting a
got
divorce.
married.
They got married.
Now
I
they're
think
getting-
They got married.
they
did
stay
not
together
go
at the
well.
end, don't they?
Oh, do they?
At least my life is going better than Amy and Peter's. I mean, thank God someone's life is going worse than ours.
Yeah. Or is it like they found somebody to love them, marry them, and then divorce them all before we found anyone to love us?
Is it worse?
Or is it better?
It's probably worse.
I think it's worse.
Is the divorce weighing heavily on anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Honestly, you guys, it has like deeply affected me. You should hear what I tried to do to my boyfriend. Stop shaking, you little pig bitch.
And
didn't
that
see
was
it.
April Moreau, who's,
Yeah,
who's
April.
also Michigan.
Monroe.
I was my first film project at Michigan was with April, and we like shot it in a little pizza place.
Oh,
on
She does-
I
campus.
love April.
She does
Yeah,
a lot of
she's super
shorts.
sweet.
She's doing a lot of like editing shorts.
she's
She's
always
getting
been
into
working,
directing. And I
yeah.
was doing some work. I was an actor and some for like
Yeah,
sizzle
she was
reels that
an
she was doing.
That's
AFI
cool.
fellow, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, she was at AFI.
She does those titles like Joe Schwamberg, who's also Michigan.
Is
You
he?
guys know- he
It's
does
the
like
Michigan
Hannah
Mafia,
Hannah
we're
taking
everywhere.
the stairs, like
Oh,
titles
Oh, I
like.
didn't know he
who
went to
that is.
Michigan.
Well, no, he's from Michigan.
Oh,
I
he's
don't know
from
if he-
Michigan.
but
Jacqueline was in his show on Netflix.
the
Easy.
easy,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Oh, Easy
So-
was good.
yeah, yeah,
Easy was cool.
So, all right, so Daddy.
Yeah.
Right. Wait, so it's this dystopian like society.
Yeah.
To be a father.
And yeah, I think the Severance point is interesting. I mean, we it's a low budget film. We couldn't show the world. We
Right,
didn't
of
really
course.
want to show the world. And there's shows like that which hadn't come out by the time we were writing it, but I remember like those early Yorgos Lanthimos films like Dogtooth
Lobster.
and The Lobster.
Yeah.
Those also do a good job of setting up, here's the world, here's how it operates, but we're not going to show you too much of it, and the characters are not going to like
Talk about it.
talk about how this is so crazy that we're going through
Yeah.
it. You just accept the
Yeah.
reality.
And you're really seeing the world. You're more learning about the world through how the characters operate,
Yeah.
as opposed to seeing the world on screen. It's like, oh, these guys are. I think the fact that all 4 of the characters in Daddy are quite off and socially awkward and seem kind of disconnected is a big indication of where the world is outside of the film.
It's because it's like those movies like Lobster and Purge. It's a high. What's cool, what I like about it, is it's a high concept
Yeah,
movie done
right.
probably pretty cheaply,
Right.
And it gets it's interesting. It's an interesting pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also saw that you guys got a lot of, or I don't know about a lot, but some inspiration from Waiting for Godot and
Totally.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Loved that. Definitely saw that. Definitely saw
Yeah.
the Lord of the Flies too, where you're just like, we're just gonna leave these
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
people
think
We
here
saw
and
th-
see what's happening.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
watched
sorry, go ahead.
the Peter Brook film of it from 1963, which is very handheld.
Yeah.
And that I think, we do a lot of handheld in this movie, and I remember that feeling like, oh yeah, that's a cool way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
actually
the
the
only
last
difference is
play.
that those guys are actually in danger. And what we
Yeah.
like to talk about is that in our film, like, these guys are never actually in danger.
Yeah,
Like,
but you
there's
do
food,
get
there's
like
water.
we're about to kill Piggy.
Yeah,
We're about to
100%.
kill- Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually the last play I did at Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
that
fun.
was Jack.
Twice.
Well,
And
Oh, a
one's in
gender
high
bent
school.
Lord of the Flies.
yeah,
Isn't that kind of Yellow Jackets?
yeah,
Sort of.
kind of.
Yeah.
Well, we did it co-ed
Oh,
Lord of the
nice.
Flies.
Oh.
So actually, it was actually you said twice because the last play I did in high school was Lord of the Flies, and I was Ralph, and that was a gender bent
Wow.
cast. It was all females.
Mm.
And then my last play I did at Michigan, and the last play I've done up until April 26th when I open, was Lord of the Flies.
That's funny.
And I was Jack, so I played both.
Wow.
Another J
both
name.
leads.
You're well
Another
acquainted
J
with
name.
that.
Wh-
Yeah.
Which, because you're in a play that's a comedy now, do you bring your clown nose for like good luck, like a little?
No, but
You
now
have it in your
got
pocket?
in my head, and now I feel like I should.
Just
like
do
opening
one
night.
performance with the nose.
No,
Oh, with
not
the
with
nose
the
on-
nose.
no,
but
like in
it
your
might
pocket,
be in
like
my
a-
pocket.
Like a good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, I
like
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 that.
a rabbit's
Yeah.
foot.
I kind of like that. I might do that.
Rabbit's foot is fucked up.
We'll
Good luck
see.
charm. So yeah, so it's a cool. So what made you guys come up with this concept? Like, are you guys you've written some other features together?
Yeah.
And you're like, this is the one.
Yeah.
It's an easy elevator pitch.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
COVID.
It's
friendly.
It's
COVID.
one
It's-
location.
So you guys wrote it in 2020.
Yeah,
we
we
had-
wrote
And
it in
shot it the next.
Yeah, we wrote it sort of in October, November of 2020, and then we were shooting by December 2021.
Okay, so did you know your producer beforehand? Like, who's getting the money together for this?
We got the money together.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kind of did the like.
And your producer's like, oh, you already have the money and all
Yeah,
this stuff? Cool,
exactly.
I'll
Great.
produce it.
We were
so, like
super
a
ins-
creative producer.
We were
Yeah.
super inspired by like the route that the Coen brothers took with Blood Simple.
You,
We're
so you went to
basically-
dentists?
Yeah, literally. I mean, I'm sure some of our
Oh,
investors were
definitely.
dentists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like we saw that, and we thought that we had the kind of community that would back us up and invest in us, and they did. You know, it was we're super lucky that we come from Ann Arbor and that we come from a community that supports creativity and supports art and can actually financially
Yeah.
support it. And
Minnesota. The Coen brothers are from Minnesota.
yeah, my dad grew up with the Coen brothers, so that was
That's cool
another
as
sort
hell.
of part of it where it was like, well, we've seen this work, like, and obviously they're not the only guys to have done this either. Like, it's it's how a lot of filmmakers get started.
Yeah,
is-
that's Tom and I did Badger Game the
yeah,
same way.
like let's just see how much we can raise.
People don't know this, but they know Ann Arbor for University of Michigan, but Ann Arbor is a artsy town. And do they
super
still have the
artsy.
experimental film?
They
film
do.
fest?
They
What's it
do.
Yeah.
It's
Ann Arbor
called the
Film
Ann Arbor
Festival.
Film
Yeah.
Festival.
Film Festival.
We
Yeah.
nearly got in, but we weren't experimental enough.
Right.
Guess
And
not.
one of our friends, or really like he's our parents' age, but I was emailing with him saying that we hadn't gotten in, and he was kind of bummed about it. And he said, "Yeah, maybe if you played it upside down and backwards, you would have gotten in."
Yeah.
And I thought that was
That's really funny.
Well, people think of Ann Arbor and they think of Michigan. You know, they think of Wolverines. They think of like the
Think of
big
the big
house, which
house,
fits
yeah.
how many people now? 120?
110, yeah.
Oh my God, I've been there, and
Yeah.
it's like if
It's
you,
nuts.
It rules.
it's like every game that fucking stadium's about to just collapse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
With
shit.
all the
You could
stomping.
not like football at all and go to a
Yeah.
Michigan
Oh.
game and be like, "Oh, this is
It's like
fun."
a
Such high
human
energy.
experience.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I
And then you
Ann
walk
Arbor-
outside and you buy like a drawing that someone has on the corner.
Yeah,
and
I
you're
mean,
like,
Ann Arbor's a weird little pocket where like you do have, like it's such a foodie town. Like I think it's like the top 5 foodie town in the country or something like that. It's
love the
so
food.
good. The art scene is so vibrant.
And then you have Eastern, like 2 miles,
Yeah.
like next to it, where it's like
Yeah.
all the poor people go. And all. I'm just kidding. There was a serial killer, I think, in like the '90s that was killing
A lot of
students at
serial
Eastern.
killers went through Ann Arbor.
Ted
Yeah.
Bundy went through Ann Arbor,
I
but didn't kill anybody.
I think Kaczynski went through Ann Arbor
he
too.
was like,
yeah.
"These people are
Kaczynski
nice."
went to
He
U
went
of
to
M.
Michigan.
Did
Yeah.
he teach there?
Whoa.
No, I think he was like in
Yeah.
the math program.
No, I remember someone telling me, yeah, Ted Bundy came through like after Christmas and just like hung out at a bar and like watched the Rose Bowl and then just like went to his next town to
Went
murder
off
people.
to go killing.
Huh.
That's pretty interesting.
We love Ted
famous
Bundy, is
killer.
what we're saying.
Yeah.
yeah.
What's
I
not
mean-
to love?
Yeah, handsome guy.
Are either of you
Yeah.
Catholic?
Yeah.
Okay, clocked that.
Yeah.
Not only the character, but the last song after you bury Jams.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that
Yeah.
I had like
I was just
chills
at a
went through my
funeral
whole
and
body.
we sang that song at the funeral.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Man.
that's
Yeah, he
why
sent us a picture
that's
of it.
why we put it in there.
Yeah, I went to 14 years of Catholic school.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Catholic school
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
valley. That's
really-
intense.
Wow.
Well, I had 2 ushers that were married, both named Margaret,
Nice.
and their daughter was my babysitter. So, yeah, I mean, I would go to Michigan and I'd be like, yeah, I went to Catholic school for 14 years. And people would be like, oh my God, I also went to Catholic
Yeah.
school. And they would just tell me like horror stories, or like they're from
Yes.
Pennsylvania or something, and like they would get whipped, or like
Yeah.
their
Jesus.
brother went
Whipped.
to
The ruler.
correction camp and all
yeah.
that shit, and I was
Damn.
like,
I
oh, that
managed
was
to
not my
avoid. I don't know how I managed
experience.
to convince my
nuts.
Not what I
parents.
did.
You don't need to send me to Catholic school. Church is enough.
Church is bad enough.
and
Which
it
church did
was.
you go to in Ann Arbor?
Um, I grew up going to St. Francis,
Okay.
but then I went. St. Mary's is on campus, and that's a much more kind of progressive
Which
Catholic
one's
church,
the one
which is
in
nice.
Carytown? Timothy?
St. Thomas.
St.
That's where my dad
Thomas.
and his siblings went
Saint
to.
Ted
I
Middle
went
school.
to
Yeah.
church there one time, super high, because I was like
Mm.
at my friend's house, and I was like, "Oh, church is about to happen," and
May
like,
as well
That's
go.
a
10 minutes.
crazy move.
might as well go. And I sat in the back and was like, "Oh my god, I'm in a cult!" Like, "Oh my god, I'm in a cult." All these monotone prayers that everyone's
Yeah.
saying, and
Do they
oh my God,
speak
it
in
was so
Latin
scary.
during
So-
mass?
not
Well,
anymore.
well,
Not
if you
anymore.
if you go to the which I've done, I've mixed up the Spanish mass with the
Oh, that's
English
funny.
one. You know.
Oh,
and
that's
it-
fun.
I've sat there
That's
and
good.
this lady was like, "No." I was like, she's like, "Where are you going?" I go, "Well, I don't speak Spanish." She goes, "You'll get it.
You'll get it,
I'm
yeah.
like,
The songs
yeah.
are the same.
I'm
no,
Like-
actually, the songs are. They switched to like when I was younger. All the songs, like
They do
the
have more
cadence of them
ones.
are different.
Right.
Mm.
Like they were
Yeah.
catchier when I went to. I
They
went to
were
Catholic
much
school,
catchier
too.
when we were
catchier
younger.
Like-
before.
Yeah.
Like what are some songs like?
I am the bread of life.
yeah.
That's a banger.
Christ has died, Christ has risen, Christ will come again.
Yeah, and now it's like really
it's not
upbeat.
It's something.
It's all
weird
upbeat.
song.
Imagine hearing that high as fuck in the back.
Yeah, I
and
don't
you're
want
like,
to. I don't want to at
Oh my
all.
God.
You know what? I just went to. So I went to Portland for Christmas, and on
Uh-huh.
Christmas Eve, I always love to go to mass.
Yeah.
And because I went to Catholic school too, so we would go to mass, and when we would go like every Wednesday, but on Christmas we would go to my Catholic school. My family would go to my Catholic school's church. So, but what's that carol? Lule,
Oh.
It's like it's such a fuck.
No.
It's such a good
It's a
song.
banger.
It's a banger, and it's like, but it's about like
Herod.
Herod.
Yeah.
It's about King Herod and how he had like the firstborn murdered of every family or something like that. Like all
The
these
Passover? No.
You guys were singing about Passover during Christmas?
No,
No,
that was
maybe
my bad.
it's I forget
gender
what did
bender.
King Herod what was he known for?
Oh God.
King Herod. No, but all the lullaby, all the carols are like the meaning behind them is like
I don't know. That
fucked
was a
up.
deep
Well, it's
cut.
all those like and
Frosty
Daddy,
the Snowman. I mean, he dies
Yeah.
at the end.
yeah.
dies.
Does Frosty die? Well, he's a snowman.
melts.
He's doomed to die. But I think there are some like biblical themes going on
In
in the
Daddy.
movie. I mean, you also have like the sort of Cain and Abel thing.
You talked about the Passover parable with
with the four sons. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like those things, even though I mean, the prayer is more overt, a more overt like reference to religion.
Right.
But I think, there's something religious about like, or at least there has been for a very long time, about reproduction or the reason to reproduce or not reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And,
specifically too with the song, it's just I don't know. I've been to funerals where that song is sung on Eagle's Wings. It's a
Yeah.
very moving song,
It is.
but there's something, it's very to me. It was very perverse and funny to have him sing that for this
Fake doll.
fake doll.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And
Spoiler alert. You see it in the
The
We'll
trees.
doll-
just bleep it all
It's a
out.
real.
out,
It's a
guys.
real doll.
and
the doll-
Oh,
Doll's
that's
real.
true.
It's
It is
fake-
it's a
it's a-
real doll.
but it was sort of meant to also needle, the other guy to needle Yuri's character.
This one.
Is this the Lale Lale?
Yeah. Dude,
Oh,
they
this is
sa-
like real old school.
Oh, they sang this and like you could hear a pin drop.
You could I can see like cavalry, like like going
Riding
down
in.
a field. Yeah,
It's a powerful song. I want
Right.
to put this in a movie.
Great.
So,
Well,
anyway,
I'm
during
very-
while a guy's getting ready to kill, like he's like
Yeah.
packing his heat and he's like going to kill
Oh,
someone. And he
yeah,
goes to
and he's
church
like,
first to
"Forgive
say
me,
like do
Father,
his shit.
for
Yeah.
how I am about to sin.
Yes.
I went to my dad and I went to church in Italy, and for like 20 minutes we were sitting there freaking out, being like, "What would the sign of peace be? What do we say for
Yeah.
the sign of peace? What do we do?" And so I was like Googling. I was
Omni
like,
yeah.
Patri.
no, like literally like peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
Oh,
And so we were like, what do we say to everyone? But apparently and so we were like trying to memorize the term for like peace be with you, peace be with you. But they just go up and go pace,
Pache.
Pache's
Nice.
But you are
Pache.
You know, I'm sure they're like
They probably speak
a
English
lot of
too.
tourists.
Yeah.
Not in that
I'm,
mass.
I'm very much a lapsed Catholic. I only go a few times a year,
Same.
and one of our friends is also Catholic, and we used to live together. And we went on Ash Wednesday to a
I just went.
mass in West Hollywood, and it's just so LA that Jesus is up there and he's jacked. He's got like
Yes.
Yeah.
an 8-pack.
He's a gorgeous,
Oh, in West
gorgeous
Hollywood.
guy.
That's gay Jesus.
yeah, that's gay Jesus.
There's also Korean Jesus all over town too.
Yes, there are.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
wasn't real Jesus all those dudes were jacked?
yeah. Those dudes are all
Probably.
jacked. It was like total
Jacked.
gluten
I don't know.
free,
They were-
gluten free
Yeah, they
diet.
yeah,
Tone.
Shredded.
Tone.
they were toned.
They were,
Right.
yeah. Toned is a good
six
word.
packs.
They
for
were
sure.
doing crunches.
They're getting their 10,000
You're drinking
steps
your
in.
dude Diet Coke.
Drinking my dude DC.
He's hammering. That's a good workout, right? Climbing on top of roofs.
Well, building
Hammering.
houses.
Wait,
Yeah.
so I want to talk about your movie again.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
so-
Why not?
Because my dad and I often joke, and we're like, you have to get your license to be able to drive a car. You have to go through so many like interviews and you have to do school if you want to be a doctor or like a lawyer. There's a lot of things to do an important job. You have to go through a lot of checkpoints and take a lot of tests and stuff. Whereas parenthood, arguably the hardest job and the most important job in the world, any motherfucker can do that.
Schmo.
Any
Like
Joe Schmo can
Idiocracy,
do
the
that.
beginning of Idiocracy.
Anyone can do that, and that's crazy. And so when I started your movie, I was like, oh, this is actually like a really interesting concept and something that I'm not totally like, what? That's crazy. I was kind of like, okay, I'm on board to
Yeah.
see how this goes about
Yeah.
because I don't know, there are some people that shouldn't be parents and they do become parents. So the idea of like this test and this testing if you have enough empathy, or I don't know what you guys think the actual test is.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
I think something that we toyed around a lot was that, like on the surface, in a theoretical, it's not a bad idea. That like
Yeah.
you go through some form of
interview or-
certification
yeah.
or just interview. What we spoke about was that knowing what we know about society and what we know about humanity or how we feel about humanity is that even if the idea was a good one, who's ever in charge would probably find
Fuck
a
it
way
up.
to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where our story starts,
Yeah,
you know?
and I think
Yeah.
specifically with fatherhood, it is inherently, a fairly abstract concept. The mother is the one carrying the child. The mother has the real physical experience
Has
of
the
birthing the
milk.
child. The child is
The
a
milk.
part.
Feed it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
father can just go
And-
off
yeah.
for months.
Right.
So I
Literally.
think, yeah,
Start a
there's-
hobby.
Yeah, and I think
Get
there's
some sleep.
there was just that idea of what
Men go through.
Well, no, what men go through, but also what I think, you just mentioned it. It's like we've spent, hundreds and hundreds of years of men kind of being away from the family, going out into the world, bringing back resources and food. It's only in the last, 50 or so years that those norms have started to change and
Yeah.
shift. And women now make up, 50% of the workforce.
Yeah.
And fertility rates are lower than they've been, I don't know, in generations.
Exactly.
And I think in general, there's just more of an existential question around people having children. But specifically for men, I think as gender roles have shifted and men are expected to be more empathetic, they're expected to be more vulnerable, they're expected to be more present. I think that's partially, part of the kind of crisis of masculinity everyone talks about.
Yeah.
That we
maybe.
see is men aren't really sure what their role is.
And then the
quite
women are like,
anymore.
"Oh, this man's he's too involved."
Mhm.
I do know parents like that where like the father becomes involved and the mother's like,
Yeah.
it's like overstepping a little
Interesting.
bit. And then it causes friction in them. And then the husband's like, "No, I kind of actually like this." Like Mr. Mom, remember Mr. Mom?
Right,
And
sure.
With speaking of Michael Keaton from
Yeah.
earlier, but yeah, it's like that. But what I thought was a funny dynamic or an interesting dynamic is that you guys are all all your characters get pretty anxious.
Yeah.
And then you have the character Jacqueline plays, which her name's Allie.
Allie, yeah.
She comes in and she's like calm and she's
Right.
she's got more of the masculine like
She's
presence.
she's the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the hero of the movie. Even though, and I don't remember who we were speaking to, but we were sort of saying that, yeah, we feel that Allie's sort of the only person who operates heroically. She's the hero. And it was like, well, how can she be the hero if she is only in it for 20 minutes?
Right.
It's like, well, that
And she
doesn't
leaves with the
exactly-
coward, the guy who doesn't want to.
Yeah, the coward who
Yeah.
kind of just gloms onto her.
Yeah, and we did have the notion that whatever the men are experiencing in this world, the women must be experiencing something much
Something
more
worse.
challenging.
Yeah. They're
Right.
like, they have to do a lot of like
Physical
exercise.
tests.
Yeah, physical tests. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I would not pass.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd not pass.
And it's also just like horrible. It's
And
like,
there's
yeah,
40
it's
of them
fucked
there.
up.
Yeah, we sort of saw it as like if this test for the males is sort of more just like undefined and
Yeah,
unclear about what they're
abstract.
looking for. The women's test is purely like, is she physically fit to reproduce? And we
Yeah.
felt that was pretty draconian, which feels like the world that they live in.
Do you guys
Yeah.
want to do one where it's mommy?
We joke about it,
Daddy
but no,
to colon mom.
I don't
Yeah,
think we
or this.
would.
I could see this as like a show too, like like an hour long. It's just
It's kinda
different
Handmaid's
groups.
It's kind of like Handmaid's Tale. It's kind
Yeah.
of like Black Mirror. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like anything that's like vaguely dystopian. I
And
think
gender. Yeah.
related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Jeremy. You have been invited to one of our highly competitive fatherhood programs.
Great.
You will be housed at one of our beautiful mountain retreat centers and will be joined by 3 other participants. If you are rejected, you will be issued a mandatory vasectomy by one of our
I'd just like to say, I'm ready. I'm totally ready to be a father.
And isn't someone supposed to be here to monitor us? Maybe they want us to acclimate with one another.
It's nice to get out of the house.
We haven't left the house.
No, I mean my house.
Discuss shared experiences.
You guys ever personify inanimate objects?
My girlfriend really wants one. She thinks I'd be a good father.
Get on the ground and turtle shell. Protect him.
This is exactly what we needed. Radical vulnerability.
We tried and we failed. But we tried. And I'm proud of that.
I think the monitor hasn't arrived yet because they aren't supposed to come. I think we're under surveillance.
Oh, you think we're being watched by some guy in a room?
Hello?
Remember why we're here. To be fathers. We should start behaving like fathers.
How do we do that?
So how many how did it go? Was it in festivals and stuff? And
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
that experience like?
It was interesting. I think if we could do the festival circuit again, we would do it differently, because when we first started submitting, we got into some cool festivals, but then we wanted to push and wait to see if we were going to get into one of the market fests.
Of course.
And I think if we were to make that decision again, we would make that same decision to sort of go for the home run hit, see if you can get into a TIFF or a Sundance, and see what happens from there.
Because are you saying because you think they like to premiere movies?
Well,
So
well, not
because
only
you've
that,
already
just
played,
just
but you
like
grab
the-
laurels. You grab laurels from these other ones. too,
Yeah,
which
but
look good.
if you're trying to get into one of those premieres, right? Exactly as you said, they like for it to be a world premiere,
right.
And if you're playing at a few other festivals before that, the likelihood that you get in go down.
And from the inside, and Tom could speak more to this, is from the inside, a lot of those film festivals already have their movies chosen. You know,
We know that
like
now.
it's political,
You're right?
Exactly what we think happens.
I mean, I was pretty not ignorant to that. I think I was ignorant to how strongly that impacts that part.
Oh,
of the industry.
dude, I was ignorant too. We sent Badger. I've sent even my first movie. Like I sent to all those. I'm
Right.
like, oh no, I'm gonna be the one.
Right.
But I think once like in the '90s when you take movies like Clerks or even
Right.
like
Yeah.
you know, or a movie like like Stranger Than Paradise,
Right.
in Cannes Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
But like speaking of Clerks, I just saw Kevin Smith like before I came here on my way.
No
He's
way.
kind of
walk-
he's kind of a Valley King, isn't he?
Yeah, I really didn't. I think of him as like an East Coast guy,
New York
and,
guy.
And he was he gave a bum change. He was walking into CVS. I was walking out. I was buying
What a good
tape.
guy.
Take this shit up.
That's funny.
But yeah, gone are the days where like yes, the '90s, all these indie films.
Yeah, I think
And-
people have the legacy in their heads of
I think
this
the
is what it
festivals
looks
also
like.
perpetuate that legacy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
You
that
know?
it really. But at the end of the day, it's like if you have the right connections and know people, or it is the lottery ticket thing of like they do take movies that are
Yes.
come out of nowhere, but the chances that's going to be you is
you don't even.
few and
It's
far
like
between.
you submit it, you forget about it, and then you get you
Yeah.
get it, and you're like, no, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the off chance, of course, especially if it's a well-produced movie, a good concept. Like if
Right.
you made I'm sure you already know filmmakers whose movies they make a movie and it's not good.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we're really hoping to get in this and this, and quietly you're like, definitely not.
Right.
You're not. But I think your movie had enough going to where the optimism was.
We felt it was worth the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
worth
did.
the risk of like what, $200 or
No,
what?
well, just the risk of
Waiting.
foregoing some of the acceptances that we got at honestly pretty cool festivals that I think we would have liked to play at, but didn't because we were waiting to hear back from Sundance.
What
and
was
South by and South by. Yeah.
Well, what was so now so now you're you have distribution with
Yeah.
Anchor Bay, which is
Another
started in Michigan.
Yeah,
Tom gave me
exactly.
my first job in LA, actually.
That's so
Did he?
I-
Where?
he was working at Post
Post
Haste,
Haste?
and
Okay.
I came in to direct voiceovers for some of. Post Haste was working with Netflix on their international shows, and their international shows are dubbed over in English. So I actually directed the English language dub.
Interesting.
A couple of the shows.
So you've known Tom before this?
I've known Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, we sort of we get sort of circled each other. They were interested in working with us on a script we were trying to make before Daddy, and then COVID hit, and we kind of pivoted to writing Daddy, and then around the time we were finishing, they were starting to talk about Anchor Bay and thinking about it, and so by the time we were kind of wrapping up our festival run, they were starting to get moving on Anchor Bay, and it just kind of felt like a natural fit.
And now that script that we were trying to get going before COVID hit, we have now rewritten it and are now trying to get it made as our second feature. So we've rewritten it to sort of boost the budget and boost the expanse of the story, and now we're on the path to trying to get that one made.
Wow, well, that was going to be my next question is everyone's favorite question.
What are you
after
doing next?
Yeah, what are you doing next? You put all your blood, sweat, and tears into this project. What's next?
Yeah.
So
You do die when you make a movie. It's a lot of
Yeah.
hard work. So
We
You
feel we're
lose a
coming.
piece of yourself, for sure.
We're definitely coming to. I mean, it's like we've been working on it for almost 5 years, and so now that it's finally out in the world, it's this mix of you're so excited to get it out, but you're also
excited to move
gotta
on.
let it go.
Yeah.
You're done with it. You're over it.
Oh,
well, we moved on.
totally.
It's a thing you move on creatively
Yeah.
from. I think the hardest part of this process has been we've really been producing it as much as anything else, and we finished making it almost 3 years ago. So the creative part of it ended then.
Did you guys do editing? Do you do editing?
No, we edited with an
Yeah,
editor, Mitch
okay,
Martin, who
yeah.
was an awesome collaborator. Honestly, though, like something that was very liberating, just going back to the festival piece, was realizing that when we were playing at festivals, I remember it clicked at one point that I was like, oh, I can leave. Like, I don't have to watch this in the theater.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
because
you can go
it's
next
not
door
like
and
we
get
can go
drunk.
next door and get a drink and then
Yeah.
come back for the Q&A,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that's what we do
That's
now.
the
But for a
best.
while at the fest, it was like, oh, we should like watch
Watch
it. Like,
it.
this is fun. And eventually it's like, this isn't fun.
Well, because
That
it's
was
a
like
dark
us when we
com-
went and saw Beetlejuice.
Yeah, but we won't say for what movie.
Yeah, we won't.
Because we're gonna.
But we'd seen it before.
But we had already seen
There you
it.
go.
I saw it twice.
Yeah.
So, but because it's a dark comedy, I think, right? Your
Totally.
movie?
It totally is.
Daddy. It's kind of a dark comedy. So, what would be interesting is for you guys to see what people laugh at.
Oh,
and
well, we've
what
seen
they
that
don't.
for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we find that when it's a bigger crowd, the laughs come easy. When it's
Yeah.
a small crowd, we played at a festival and maybe there was like 15 people there, and they weren't sure. It was like sometimes you need a bigger crowd
That's
to
why.
almost allow permission.
Yes, that's
to
why.
start laughing,
Can I
and then
laugh
the
at
group
this?
really gets involved, and that's exciting to see. That's
It's really fun
rewarding.
when you
Yeah.
see that people are like understanding the comedy. I remember when we played at Michigan Theater in Ann Arbor, there was like 250 people there because like the community really
it's
came
such a
out,
good
you know,
theater
because Ann
show.
Arbor rules. And during the funeral scene, during Neil's song, there were a lot of laughs, and Neil kind of leans over to me and goes, "There's a lot of Catholics."
There's a
here."
lot of Catholics in this audience. Yeah.
So for your movie, who do you let's ask Jillian. Who do you think in order is the best to worst parent out of the four? Daddy out of the four.
Well, which guy leaves? Mo leaves?
Yeah, he's the
Mo
worst. He's
leaves.
the worst.
So he's the worst. And he's also like, let's just get the fuck out of here. And she's like, I'm actually trying to have a kid. And he's like, okay, I guess that's fine. Like,
yeah.
I'll
Indecisive.
go with that then.
Totally indecisive.
was
And
like,
she's like,
whatever.
she got the ick right away.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, actually, you can stay. And then, yeah, I mean, your character, duh.
Not great.
He literally sees a woman and is like, I bet they fucked.
Yeah,
and it's
he's
like,
not a
shut
great
up,
dude,
dude.
yeah.
I guess this is kind of
I
an
hope
easy
you never
question.
have a daughter. Your
Then the other-
character.
Yuri-
No,
you
it's-
can,
I
you
don't
can be a
take-
girl
I don't
dad.
take
That's
offense.
totally fine.
I'd love to be a girl dad.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yuri's kind of a psycho.
Huh?
Yuri.
Yeah, I mean, Yuri's a psycho. He literally.
He's
so,
intense.
do we understand that he's a psycho, or is the idea that this environment kind of triggered the
I think
psychosis?
he comes in with a certain swagger and
Right.
Yeah.
and faux confident male energy that he's the one who tries to sort of get everyone to turn against each other.
Yeah.
So I think there's something inherent in him that is maybe a little
That bathroom
competitive.
scene.
But
is
Oh, yeah.
fucked up.
That was fun to shoot.
I was like,
we
oh
were
my
just sitting on. I think he was in the bathtub and I was in the toilet, or I was on the toilet.
yeah,
just
we had
like
the monitor.
crunched in this little cube, just watching Yuri.
And it's the same shot for that whole scene,
Yeah,
right?
it's just like a little zoom in.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
The
What's
whole
funny
like,
is-
Truman Show reference was funny.
What's funny is he tries to be the alpha, but then he's like,
Well,
he's
that's
convinced
sort of
that you're trying to be the alpha.
That's sort of the whole play. Is that like at
Yeah.
one point everybody's kind of trying and failing to take the lead.
Yeah, there really was no. I mean, I guess he was, but he was kind of crazy.
But you know, that's really like a group of guys in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Like there's always this I don't know, did we create the phrase or do we just repeat the phrase alpha posturing? Where it's like guys are, to a certain degree, guys, especially at a certain age.
It depends on who you're around.
Depends on who you're around and,
But any
and
group
how
of
old you are and
guys-
how drunk you
Yeah,
are. you know?
there's also just in any group of guys, if you're with one another for enough period of time. We were just at a bachelor party a couple weeks ago, and it's just like it after a few days, roles get to be like solidified a little bit. Some people are the alpha, some people are very not. Some people don't want to be the alpha, but they kind of feel like they
Sigmas.
have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's just male
Sigmas.
dynamics when you're in a
Sigmas
group.
are-
It's without fail. There does tend to become a little bit of a
Like Lord of the Flies.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think when you
becomes a-
introduce a woman, that's when they fight for the alpha.
right.
Right.
I'm trying to feel like when she gets introduced, which one of you becomes the alpha?
I mean, I kind of try to take the lead, but in like the worst possible
Right.
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, we should punish this.
Well, because the Yuri guy's
Yeah.
kind of
We
he's
should
in
lock
charge,
her
but
in
he's,
this
Yeah,
room.
right.
Yeah.
but you don't trust him. So you're like, yeah, this guy might be the alpha, but he's
But they're all, I
decision-making.
mean, they all take that situation as a reflection of them,
Right.
you know, and they all think, oh, she's here
Because of
us
for
in their
us.
own way. They think that she's there because of them. So it clouds everything, every part of that experience where
Yeah.
they can only see her through the lens of how she's affecting them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so all of them each have moments of, I've got to impress her, I've
Right.
got to intimidate her, I've got to
Yeah.
Got to figure
make
out
her
what
right.
the deal is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's just like can't handle
And
it.
she's just literally trying to survive, you
Yeah.
know? Like she's actually kind of running from this state that we've created
Yeah.
and is in danger.
And I wanted to ask you guys, how come you didn't? We don't know what she did, why she wasn't accepted.
I
We
just
don't know why anyone's not.
Yeah,
It
that's sort
just
of the
feels
part of
like
the mystery.
once
Does she not know?
No.
No.
What did she say when he
She
asked
says
that?
they
I
don't
wanna
tell
talk
They
you
don't
why.
tell
They
you
don't tell
why.
you why.
And that's sort of a repeated line is like, do you know why your friend got accepted? They don't tell you why. And I think at least it's like part of control. It's
I
like
could-
Yeah.
I
the
could
power.
guess
I don't know. You don't know why you didn't get into a college.
Yeah,
like
right.
why would they ever
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah,
why
that's
you
so
didn't
true.
get
That's
accepted
true.
into
That's
this
true. Like
program?
I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to do this thing where you would interview for a job, and where you would interview for a job and you'd have to take this psychological question, this test.
Whoa.
You'd be asked these questions, and you would or wouldn't get it. But yeah, you don't know why.
That's crazy. The addition
crazy,
of
that's why you didn't get it.
jams is really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of like
jams.
putting this very realistic doll
Yeah.
in this environment of these men where this like kind of idea of toxic masculinity is growing within this group, and then there's this fake baby
Mhm.
that they all kind of let themselves be, for lack of a better term, feminine with, like motherly towards,
Mhm.
fatherly towards. Why, like, is the idea that that doll is kind of hidden in every house that this experiment takes place in?
You know, there's a moment
good
where
question.
Jacqueline's character sees the doll
Yeah.
and she kind of has a look of knowing. So I think there's a chance that maybe the doll is present at at a lot of
Mhm.
these programs, but
Okay.
it feels like part of it is just, we knew we could only, we knew we were writing something to be set in one location, and that it had this sort of, almost a play or a chamber piece kind of quality. You can get pretty bored with just 4 characters,
Yeah.
and just you need to find a way to keep things moving and engaged. That's why Jacqueline's character comes in, and that's why we felt the doll should be
Yeah,
there.
they're just
because-
triggers to keep the story turning.
Exactly.
Well, it is
along.
98 minutes.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
is
a good
98
it's a good
minutes.
length.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's
pretty
perfect.
punchy.
Yeah, so like without Jacqueline's edition, you're talking about 80-minute movie.
But yeah, you kind of are trying to figure out where does this story go, and
Yeah.
that felt like
It's also like if
yeah.
you're making a movie about reproduction and it's about men, like you have to have a
You want a
woman
woman
come
in
in.
there,
Like
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
absurd if you don't.
But for Jam
Yeah.
specifically, I think it was also kind of to what you're speaking about, like, they are projecting their own stuff onto this doll.
Yeah.
And they are wondering, do I need to take care of it? They do exercises with it and things like
Yeah.
and they pass it around.
I like how
holding it.
Yuri
And they do
carries
the
it by his
I
head.
know, yeah. I
Scenes,
think
yeah.
Yuri came up with that on his
He's like,
own.
carry it by its
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
So funny.
That's not how you carry it.
No.
You failed.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you fail, you'd be like, that's why.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How many I bet this thing went through rewrites. A lot of rewrites. I could
Yeah.
see that because
not
it's
like-
conceptual and
Not a crazy amount, but like,
No, we improvised a lot while writing
Yeah.
and have voice notes of it's also in the DVD extras of us. You can
Nice plug.
listen to great
good
plug.
plug.
Where you can listen to us improvising scenes that are in the movie. And so
that's cool.
the dinner scene where Jams gets introduced and the wine is spilled and all of that, that is like not even wine, it's juice. I forget.
No booze.
No
No
booze.
booze.
That kind of felt like, you have all these moments where you're trying to get them to connect or not connect, and there's a few different kind of big group scenes where those were really fun to write, and they went through a few different iterations, but again, because we were writing it together side by
Right.
side, it moved, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think like the interesting thing is that the movie that we wrote is very much the movie that you see on screen. There were very few changes, but there were some changes both in the writing process and in the editing process to probably the last 20 pages, 20 minutes of the movie. And it was more just about trying to create an ending that felt earned, The original ending that we came up with was much more clear, much more literal. We sort of ended up telling the audience or the reader what had gone wrong and why they were left there and what was going to happen. And then we ended up getting notes from a friend of ours that basically convinced us, no, don't give the audience that. Make
Yeah.
the audience take an active role in figuring out what the hell just happened.
like
to these
where are they
guys.
going?
I
Where's
feel
this
like
guy
that's such a
Where are they
driving?
going?
I
Yeah,
feel like
totally.
that's such a generational thing because that was something that we got for the play. Like my play ends kind of ambiguously, and you're kind of like, wait, but it's not in a nice, pretty bow, and we don't know where all these characters go, and we want to know.
Right.
And
I've
I
always
feel
liked
like
that.
our generations, collectively, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, it's kind of like, no, we don't need that.
Right.
It's
Like,
too
better.
expositions. Yeah, expositions.
Yeah.
It ruins
yeah,
it.
But
Like the end of
because the play
Scream
got
2.
the same.
Right.
The play got the same note, and it was from someone who
Older people.
like in her late 70s.
Well, it's like in
early
those
80s.
Yorgos movies, both Dogtooth and the Lobster, and very unclear in terms of what's happening in the next scene.
Yeah.
Like what's happening to these people that we care about. And to me, I find those kind of endings to be incredibly gratifying.
Yeah.
Even though they're left
Well, yeah,
wide
give me
open.
food for thought.
Right, exactly.
Let me,
Leave
It's
me
also
with
just
something.
yeah,
you
let
have
me
to,
talk about it.
I
Right.
think part of it too is you need to. It's not even knowing when the movie is ending. It's the story you're telling.
Right.
Yeah,
And that
that's a good.
there's
point.
many movies. I think of the end of Lady Bird is a really
Mhm.
good example of that could keep going,
Yeah.
but that's the end of that story.
Yeah, that's so.
You
true.
know, I think there's movies like that where you try to think really hard about what your story is
Right.
and then make
I-
sure that when it ends it feels intentional to
Yeah.
what you were
Are you
Yeah,
watching
trying
The
to sell.
Studio?
No, but I hear it's great.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I've heard
and
it's
what
really
we're talking
good.
about is like one of their episodes
Oh,
where
is that
they
right?
like they watch this movie and it's phenomenal and they're like, "Oh my god, what a brilliant ending." And then it keeps going. Like there's an added scene that's like a 40-minute
such
scene.
a
and they're
that's
like,
such a
"Oh
horrible
my
feeling
God."
when that happens.
Oh, that's the Ron Howard one.
Yeah, the
right?
Ron
Yeah,
Howard
yeah.
movie.
I've heard
like
about it. I
Ron
haven't watched
Howard's
it
like,
yet.
it's really personal to me, and like Seth Rogen's supposed to like tell him to cut it. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole episode.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
it's so hard
you
when
don't
that
need to-
happens in a movie that you're watching, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
you're like,
like,
oh,
it
you
was
should have ended
there.
it there.
Yeah.
No, and we've had the experience with some people, and like some people love the ending of this movie, and some people are like, "What happens? We want to know what
Yeah, they
happens."
feel
We wanna know
Are
very
what
the people that
unfulfilled.
ask what happens, are they older?
I don't know if
Sometimes
they're always older.
Sometimes. I think
Yeah.
some people just want a sense of.
I think some people
certainty.
the ambiguity of what's happening to them
Yeah.
and then what happens to them. I think it rubs some people
It's a
the wrong
lot.
way, but like that's the movie that we wanted
Yeah,
to make,
watch
so we don't
Hallmark
mind
if
it.
you want a big pretty red bow. Like, what the heck?
Right.
That's so funny. Who scored it?
Yeah,
Matt Ornstein.
Shout out Matt.
Yeah, he's a dog.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Even the first scene when they're like coming into the retreat, I was
Yeah.
like, who wrote
Yeah,
this score?
he's
This
a
is
he's
so
a bad he's a
good."
bad man.
Did he do it to the movie?
He did it to the
Yeah.
movie, and he used
cool.
some of the temp score that we had as like inspiration, but a lot of it
That's
is
how-
just,
yeah.
no, totally
Yeah,
how it is, and
totally.
it's just a conversation starter at the beginning. But yeah, I mean, he's a professional musician and composer, and
That's so cool.
and it's funny, like Neil is one of my oldest friends in the world, and one of the few people that I've known longer than Neil is Matt Ornstein. I grew up with him in Minnesota. Our families are super close, and he was kind of the first guy on my list when we were thinking about hiring a composer. And
That's cool.
he's awesome.
So you gave him like a little bit of like he had some leeway, like because I know sometimes for the listeners, like temp scores, pretty much the tone you want to the composer to set.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've been guilty of this where I'm like, no, I want it to sound pretty much like this, and the composer's like,
Our editor warned us of that very fact.
The composer's
yeah.
like, oh come on,
Yeah.
this is my time to
Right.
be, and then so
I
you gotta
think we
give,
just
you gotta
touched-
trust him a
We
little.
trusted
Yeah.
Matt's taste
Yeah.
enough and his artistry to, I think, know that this is more the energy of what we're going for, maybe even the rhythm of what we're going
Yeah.
for.
Mhm.
But he knew when to. I think the thing that's amazing about working with collaborators like him is, music's such a specific thing, and we're not musicians, but you have an idea of where you want to go, and then they really drive the car.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's knowing when to tell them, yeah, this is a little too bright or a little too airy or a little too, bassy or whatever it might
Mhm.
be, but they have their own intuition that's why we hired them. That's why we're working with
Right.
them.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's super important, especially for a movie like yours, because it's people, like you said, people don't know whether to laugh, or whether to
Right,
take it
right.
seriously. So the music's gonna
It's a good
Guide that.
signifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like another part of that too, which I remember feeling like really excited about was, we used this temp score and it worked in in the scene that it existed, but there was no consistency from scene to scene,
Right.
really. And then I remember when we first started listening to the first drafts of what Matt was working on, recognizing that like, oh, like this dude's created like a theme. Like there's a theme, there's a tonal theme that pops in and out of the movie from scene to scene, and he changes it to fit the tone of the scene, but it's still there. And I just remember being like, wow, that's just a part of music that I'm sure exists in so many films, but
Yeah.
you're kind of not aware of it or not
Yeah.
conscious of it. But he is focusing on that, and it's
That's
good
so
to trust
cool.
the guy who's
Yeah.
especially
doing
someone-
that.
Has he done scores before?
Oh yeah. Yep.
It was really interesting watching the movie with my roommate who's a film major from Michigan. Doesn't Max look a lot like Neil?
No bet.
Yeah. My roommate and you look like brothers.
I get that a lot.
That's so
Something
funny.
about white guys with brown hair in
Glasses
we all-
from the
and a
Midwest.
beard
We're all
and
kind
mustache.
of in
You're
the
all
same.
kind of the
From
same
the-
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also in film. I don't know, very
Yeah.
specific. But anyway, it was fun watching it with him, and then I was watching it with my childhood best friend. We've been best friends since we were 1.5.
1.5.
That's
1.5.
pretty
really
good.
early.
18
Yeah.
months, I think we call it at that point. Still,
Right.
we're still in
I
months.
guess I could say we've been
Ask
best
these
friends
dads,
for
they know.
18 months.
Oh, yeah.
Not dads.
His
But
character was gonna be a
it was
dad.
fun listening to who reacted to what and what reacted like that in the dinner scene. Like he immediately put salt, and me and Valerie are like, "Why the fuck would you put salt on that?" And Max is like, "Well, maybe it." Like,
Let's hear
shut
these
up.
guys out.
All the
Let's
salt,
see
all
what
the salt.
happens.
Yeah.
You immediately hate that guy even more.
Oh my god!
my God.
Immediately, that guy. Oh my god! And now you have no salt for all of your.
And it
meals for
wasn't-
the rest
never
of the
heard
thing.
like people.
That was a
React
big,
to
he
that?
made
Yeah,
a big
so
deal.
strongly.
He
Yeah.
made a big deal
That's
about
really
that.
funny.
That
saying.
made me so upset.
He'd be an
so
uptight
funny.
Oh
father.
my god! I was like, you.
Well,
just
it's a
ruined
thing that the
fucking-
second, and Palm plays it so well in the scene where he says, "I don't understand the salt thing." And Yuri's character explains it, and right away Palm gets, "Oh, it absorbs." I think
Yeah.
once you tell people, "Well, salt will absorb liquid," they go, "Oh, of course."
But,
like,
Yuri goes
also,
like salt is
no,
super
it-
dry. But it's like if it's like a dot, if it's like a little like stain of wine on the
Yeah.
tablecloth,
You
then you
rub
can
some
do
salt
it.
on
Not
it.
even rub, you just put it on and
Yeah.
it sucks it out. But if it's like, you know, a huge ocean of
Yeah.
of juice on a
Yeah, he just
tablecloth,
kind
it's
of,
not gonna
yeah, it's
work.
just an instinctual panic.
And whose character comes back? You come back with it.
Yeah,
right?
I
You're
come
like,
back
hey,
with
it's
it.
not out.
It's just all
I'm like, wow.
purple, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Like, you didn't, did you even
idiocy.
try to put it in the water?
No, I didn't try to do shit.
Yeah, that was so funny. That was so funny.
When does Daddy? So I know because I share an office with Tom. So I heard there's some. It got pushed back, right? The release, the
It's been
digital
pushed
release,
back
May.
a couple times. No, it's coming out.
I hope not, May. It's supposed
Wasn't
to
it-
come out
wasn't
on
it May?
Tuesday.
No, it was originally
Tuesday.
April 15th.
February, but it's coming out April 15th.
Maybe that was another. No, I thought that was. You
It
guys,
better
that
be
you guys
another
were. You
one.
guys
Let's
were.
not panic.
There was
then.
like a. There was
It's
like
already-
some.
yeah.
It was tense. It was a tense moment.
There were
Was
some.
was-
Well,
yeah.
we just wanted it out because we just wanted it out.
Yeah. Well.
And we were trying to get it out like in November, December,
Right,
and
right,
then
right.
Tom was like, "Okay, like we, you know, let's try to do this the right way a little bit later." And then it was going to be February, March, and now it's
I'm pretty positive
March,
it's
April.
April 15th.
It's coming out April 15th.
Okay.
So excited.
like tax day.
Tax day,
Do
man.
your
But
taxes.
A
and-
perfect
This
movie to watch.
episode
taxes
won't be
with.
out by then because that's like tomorrow.
okay.
Like in
That's
2
okay.
days.
Then they can come. They can go and watch it right now.
Yeah, they
just
can
watch
watch
it right now. It's on-
Yeah.
It's,
you
it's
can-
at, it's
you
at
can-
Yeah.
home right
You
now.
Go
can
watch it
order
right
it
now.
to
That's
rent
really
on
good.
Amazon and Apple.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then that
It'll
physical
be on-
physical media comes out later.
Physical
It
media's
already
been
is
out.
out.
It's been
Yeah.
out.
So
They're
Why not?
buying. People are
yeah,
buying
you can find us on
DVDs.
Blu-ray, DVD.
I look at the numbers
Oh,
with
yeah.
Tom, like, and you know, like I tell this to all the filmmakers too, because Tom's a little. Well, he does too, but I like speak up for him a little bit. But we're it's the collection of movies that Anchor Bay has right now, and we go through some that get sent. Like we
Mhm.
just had a bunch, and we're like, no, this isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't the brand. And so I think like, and some people that we're sending to our website, they're looking at these titles and they're like there's a, especially with the physical media and the artwork and like all the posters and all that stuff. It's like we're putting together a nice little distribution company that we want to grow and not just being distributing all these movies. So like I know Tom already knew you, so it was kind of like, but I don't think there was ever a time where like, oh, I want to distribute this guy's movie because I know him. It was kind of like you do the distributor of service when you make a good product,
Right.
And I don't know how many other distributors you talked to or got denied from
Yeah,
or tried to
yeah,
get
a
you
lot.
handful,
because
yeah.
there's always the, should I do the film festival or should I try to distribute it?
Right.
And like we've distributed movies through a lot of companies and they don't do any promotion, they don't
Right.
do any of that stuff, which this podcast is going to do.
Right.
And I know you guys this is our 11th episode, but we're growing, so it's kind of good to be on like later
First episode of
episodes.
season 2.
Yeah,
Right.
You guys
first
have made
episode
it
of
this
season 2.
far.
Yeah,
Which Mike,
exactly.
Mike, where's
Thank
Mike?
you for the reminder.
Mike's in here. He was our first guest because he's the acquisitions guy, but
Yeah.
he also is the director of Dinner with Leatherface. But
Cool.
at that
Right.
point, it was our first episode,
Yeah.
so we almost got to bring him back,
Right.
which I think would be an interesting. Or we should do caps where we cap the movies.
Yeah, we should.
Actually, we were supposed to do it at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the last.
But
episode
this
of
is
season 1.
I mean, I love how this serendipitously came together with all of these Michigan people and a Michigan distributor and like all that jazz.
Right. That's we got to think of a
it's just
title
so
for this
fun.
episode.
I don't know. You kind of just have to. If you find people early on who you know you connect with, you know you can trust, you know you have similar tastes and want to collaborate. Like, why,
it's so
why
hard
not,
to break
you know?
through that using any kind of network or community that you have
Yeah.
to even just move like an inch forward is worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's so good. I mean, the movie's
Thanks.
so good,
That's
you
sweet of you
guys.
to
Yeah,
say.
it is. It's
really,
very good movie.
it's
It's
really
a fun
good.
one.
It's a very good movie, and it's got that indie feel, but like the high concept feel.
Yeah.
And Alexa Mini looks beautiful.
Yeah, Alexa Mini looks beautiful, and you have a passionate team of distributors behind you. So
Well, thank
hopefully,
you.
Thanks,
you know,
guys.
hopefully,
we feel happy to be part of
Good.
it.
Yeah, we do.
I'm
Good.
excited
Yeah.
to see what this duo
We're
does
excited
next.
for the
Are you
future.
guys?
if you guys ever need to
kind
borrow
of-
some money,
Yeah,
Do you have,
we would love-
do you have
we
$2
would-
million bucks?
Yeah. Do you have
Money.
$2 million?
Do you have $2 million?
just like $20.
You know,
20
you have
bucks
$2
or
million?
something. You know, just
Not
get
you have
today.
I'll Venmo you.
Yeah.
That's. Are you guys kind of tied together? Are you a couple now, or do you think you'll still do other?
I mean,
things
we
separately?
definitely plan on continuing to work together. I think we also like work on our own and write on our own sometimes. And I think what's so nice is that because we're such close friends, like the friendship is gonna come first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've like had to remind ourselves of that sometimes, that like we're not just working together.
Yeah.
We're also friends.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it, ideally, that will make it easier in the future where we can kind of go in and out of, you know, if we want to work together or not, we can feel good about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Well, Neal Kelly, JONO Sherman, thank you for coming
Thank
on the
you,
Thank you
pod.
guys.
This was really fun.
Yeah, it was
Good.
nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Cool.
Well, that's it. Be sure to watch Daddy April 15th, and it's on physical media right now, so you can buy yourself a
order it
DVD.
so you can see all the bloopers.
And also scan the Turning Point barcode and help get Turning Point released.
Get Turning
Shameless.
Point released.
If
do
you want to
it.
see this, forget about me. This girl is the star.
I want to see this movie. Yeah.
Yes.
see little
She's-
baby Jill.
She's fucking
And
amazing.
go see
I texted her the
Jillian's
other
play.
night. Did I
Yeah,
not?
go see the
Yeah.
play. How long
Oh
is it
yeah,
running
the
for?
play. Let's promote the play. What's it
play.
called?
It's
You
called
never-
Fostered. It's at Pacific Resident Theater in Venice. It is going on from April 26th through June 18th.
Oh,
That's
nice
a nice
run.
run.
6-week run.
Nice
Oh, we'll be
run.
there.
Might extend. We'll see.
Heck yeah.
That's
I'm
longer than the
kind of like,
Renaissance
that's
Fair.
a long time.
It's kind of like the Ren Fair.
Yeah, it's
Smoking
longer.
cigs at the Ren Fair.
Which I will also be at next Saturday if anyone
You
wants
can
to come
catch
say
it-
hi.
Wait, the
what
Ren
do you
Fair
do?
goes
Work-
2
do you work at
weekends?
the Ren Fair?
No.
Oh, you're
I
just going
just
again?
frequent.
So it's like
Are you
Coachella.
crazy?
There's
It is crazy.
the Ren Fair's like Coachella. There's like 2
It's
weekends.
my Coachella.
You know what I don't like
I
about
went to
the Ren
Coachella
Fair?
No, the
at
Ren Fair's
17. I don't
like
need to do it at
2 months long, but
27.
only on the weekend.
The Ren
Oh.
Fair, when it's hot out, seems awful.
That sounds like hell.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's actually when it's like a nice 80 with a slight
Ew,
breeze.
dude.
It's
That's
beautiful.
fucked up.
Okay. Remember, hold on, real quick.
You're gonna go and you're gonna be like,
maybe.
I'm gonna come every
No,
year.
it's got to be
Okay.
like autumn.
Post credit. Post credit.
Yeah, sorry.
Post credit. The Ren Fair story. I had a friend. There used to be this thing. I don't know if you remember, where you threw tomatoes at the there was a
jester.
dude at the
I
dude's.
don't know if you remember. That's from fucking medieval ages. What do you mean?
No, at the Ren
Saying
Fair
at the
you
Ren
could do
Fair.
it.
Oh,
You could.
well,
I don't know if you remember.
Consensual
when in the Ren-
tomato
it's hard to
throwing.
keep up with the stories.
Yeah,
No,
fair.
so we went with a group of friends, and my friend was like, he was an ex baseball player.
Oh,
like,
shit.
pitcher. And they had like heirloom tomatoes. They were huge. And there was
He like killed the guy.
It's not here, yeah, no. It's not as close as like when you got to dunk the guy in the tank, right? Where you throw the ball and you dunk the guy in the tank.
Right.
That's like
10
60
feet.
feet.
Oh, 60? Oh, I got no idea what I'm
60.
talking
Yeah.
about.
no,
I have no
this dude was far away
Okay.
and high up. So they had these tomatoes where you pay $5, you get like 4 to 5 tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend had great aim because he used to be a pitcher, and he was nailing this guy, and to the point where the guy had to he moved out of the way, and it went through the hole. No,
wow.
he hit him so hard, you saw him getting carried off like with a friend, like with his arm over his shoulder, and they
Jesus.
replaced him. And then they went, and then the next year I went, they were like Roma tomatoes, and then the next year they were like
Cherry tomatoes.
little
And
ones.
then next year it was gone.
Your
They-
friend
they-
broke the tomato tossing
Yeah,
meta.
the guy got like a concussion probably from
Yeah.
a tomato.
Hey, maybe don't throw anything that hard at another
Oh,
person.
he was my friend's a
When
drunk
we were kids,
asshole.
we had
Oh,
like this
man.
giant slingshot, and we would sometimes slingshot tomatoes into like the park. Or
That
the
seems
street
fun
or
and
water
friendly enough.
balloons.
My
golf
friends in Ann Arbor
balls.
used to drive around and get boba and then like boba.
like hit.
That's
hit
like a
people.
way more
Hit people on the pedestrian.
more chill version of what
What we
our
would
group
do.
of friends. We were delinquent.
My friend used to we used to work for a meat company where we'd sell meat door to door in a
Nice.
van.
Good deal.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun.
Truck meat.
I have a script about that, but no one does it anymore. So
No, because why would you buy meat out
kind
of
of
a
an
truck?
well,
extinct.
people would. It was like a '90s, '80s things. People and all the people that worked.
It
for
was
meat
the
company,
80s. We
it
bought
was-
meat out of a truck.
No, you seriously like until the 2000s. I had a buddy who
I'm so happy I grew up in
He
this
had
country.
his-
The
I
internet
did.
killed it.
he had his own like by 17 he had his own townhouse. He had a
Yeah,
Camaro.
we used
Just
to
from
be a
selling
country.
fucking
Some
meat.
selling
We did.
meat. And let me tell you, the guys that do this, they're usually straight out of jail.
Oh yeah.
And so, but we used to drive around in this meat van with high powered water guns, like water fucking like shotguns.
Yeah.
And drive up to cars at stoplights, open up the back window, and shoot them like right in the face.
It's pretty good.
Shoot the meat van?
No, we would be in the meat
You'd be
van.
in the
and
meat
in
van.
the back, and we would shoot like we
Bet
would
it smelled
surprise
crazy.
people.
Were you
Boy.
ever throwing like ground hamburger meat at people? Just like
No, but a guy threw
Prosciutto.
no, but a guy did that. He threw we rolled up to a house where the guy was outside. You could tell he was like digging a hole. He was in a bad mood. We were like, hey,
digging a hole in a bad mood. What have you done? We killed a guy.
Who's in a good mood when they're digging a hole?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, but he was like, we were like, hey, excuse me, we work for American Meat Packing. Do you like steak? And he goes, what? He goes, get the fuck out of here. And then my friend was like,
Right.
my friend
Chicago.
friend seriously said, or no, he goes, how would you like a face full of mud? Because he had the mud right there. And my friend goes, how would you like a fat dick in your mouth?
Yeah.
And the guy
Good
took
question.
the mud and threw it like at the truck at this job. We had a truck. It wasn't a van. There were trucks. There were
trucks, there were vans, there was
little
meat in all these
S10s,
trucks and
meat
vans.
truck- meat
This is
cool-
so scary.
We were
Oh my
digging
God.
holes. It was
It was
Chicago.
creepy. We'd be out.
Chicago.
It was Chicago. We'd be out till like 8 p.m.
I forgot you grew up in Chicago. This is all making a. I was picturing like
LA.
Ventura Boulevard.
No.
Like
Chicago.
She's
Yeah.
the Valley girl.
You're the
He's
Valley girl,
Chicago
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
we could do a Freaky Friday though. You guys
Switch?
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun. My family's all in Chicago.
No
Oh.
way.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
her
have
dad's from-
Midwestern roots.
You have a vaguely Midwestern kind of energy,
Thank
which
you.
is great.
Well,
It's
she went to
polite.
U of
It's a
M
good
also.
thing.
Polite,
You did.
Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
guilty,
and you went to U of
shame.
M.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we'll do a whole podcast about guilt and shame next time. Though.
That's
Oh,
That's episode
fun.
2 of season 2.
Yeah.
Guilt and shame.
Guilt and
Guilt
shame.
and
Episode 12. All right. I
Jill
think
and
that
Neil
wraps
talking
it
about
up.
Catholicism.
Where are we at on time? No.
Oh, I thought we
well,
did.
we are. But how long is this episode?
Wow.
That's long.
Wow.
All right.
Lots
Joe
of
That's
Rogan
it.
over
We're
here.
done.
I have
Jeff's like,
three.
wrap it up.
All right. Thanks,
I gotta
guys.
see what's going on with the Masters.
Peace. We're done.
Holy shit, Rory. Minus 14.
That's it.
No way.
He's gonna fall.
On the blackest nights we sail through fog. Two voices echo from the salty bog. With tales of movies and actors bold. Host Josh and Jillian, their stories unfold. Hold fast the wheel, listen to the jive. The Blank Podcast where legends vibe. From silver screens to haunted dreams. In Josh and Jillian's twisted schemes. Brought to you by Anchor Bay Entertainment.